Hey guys, how are you all? Welcome back to my channel. Today we will see what if Ino likes Naruto instead of Sasuke last part. If you enjoy then please like, share and do comments. The next morning, Ino got up, got dressed, and headed out while wiping the sleep from her eyes. As she walked, she wondered what kind of D ranks they'd be doing today. She decided that she and Naruto ought to talk to Hinata today. Coming to the usual field, she found Naruto and Sasuke got there ahead of them. "Morning Naruto, morning Sasuke," said Ino, blearily. "Hey, Ino," said Naruto. "Hey," said Sasuke, not looking at her. "You okay, Sasuke?" asked Ino. "Bad dreams," said Sasuke. "Your brother?" asked Naruto. "Naruto," said Ino. "You shouldn't ask about stuff like that." "No, I dream of my family," said Sasuke. "I see their corpses, bleeding out all over the Uchiha district. And then I see the animal who my father called son." Oh, Ino realized Sasuke still lived in the Uchiha district and had for years. "Not to pry, but are you sure you should be living in the old Uchiha district? I mean, it can't be good for your mental health." "I need to remember what happened," said Sasuke. "It lets me remember what I have to do." And then Kakashi-sensei was there. "Good morning, students, we have a special job today." Ino stared in shock as if the world had fallen out from under her feet. "You're on time." "Yes. Well, even I'm not detached enough to not take a C rank from the Hokage," said Kakashi-sensei with a bit of amusement. "You and Naruto have been busy." "A C rank?" asked Naruto. "Seriously?" asked Ino. "I was expecting to spend a lot more time doing D ranks." "Well, you three have done a good enough job that the Hokage has decided to give you a break," said Kakashi-sensei. "We're going to be hunting some bandits." He drew a scroll out of his pocket and unrolled it to reveal a poster with many rough-looking men's faces. "The wanted posters are here." Said Ino, taking it and looking over them. She hadn't seen any of these men before until today, and Dad had a bingo book of minor criminals. "Why are we hunting them?" asked Sasuke. "This doesn't seem like a C rank at all." "You're technically right, Sasuke," said Kakashi-sensei. "What constitutes a D rank depends on the politics of the times. In wartime, D ranks might be clearing traps from forests or scouting enemy positions. Or, hunting bandits as the case might be. Since we're at peace, it counts as a C rank." "So, what's the plan?" asked Naruto. "Are we going to hunt these guys down?" "Simple enough," said Kakashi-sensei. "We'll be accompanying a merchant cart in disguise along a certain pass. It leads to the land of rice paddies. We'll be taking on more humble appearances, and with any luck, they'll take us for common travelers." Then he drew out a storage scroll and unsealed it. Revealed were then a series of ragged-looking, but practical clothes. "Take these." These clothes are ragged," said Ino. "That's the idea, I'm afraid," said Kakashi-sensei. "Sometimes, simple traps are the best. Remember, you should try to appear unimpressive. Oh, by the way, here are our assistants now." Ino looked up and saw Teuchi and Ayame from Ichiraku Ramen coming forward with a stand. Naruto smiled. "Teuchi? Ayame?" "Hey, Naruto," said Ayame, smiling. "What are you guys doing here?" asked Naruto. "Well, the Hokage requested we try and take our ramen to cater to one of the border outposts. And also to lure out some bandits," said Teuchi. "Apparently, he needs civilians to make the disguise complete. We're getting danger pay and spreading the word of Ichiraku Ramen," said Ayame triumphantly. "Soon, word of our noodles shall reach across the world. Oh, and one more thing," said Kakashi-sensei. "It's possible that we'll be facing more bandits than expected. It's even possible there will be trained combatants. Sometimes even our intelligence can be wrong." Ino realized that they were going to have to fight soon if all went as planned. All that sparring practice and combat training was going to be put to the test. And now she knew why Sakura, Shikamaru, and Choji had been failed. Ino imagined Shikamaru with an enemy coming at him with a sword. He tried to catch him with a shadow, but it failed. Choji tried to protect him, but couldn't bring himself to hit back. Both of them were cut down by swords and left to die on the road. And Sakura, well, the less said about what happened to her, the better. "Right, we'll be careful," said Naruto. "I'm sure you will, but I don't think you fully understand the situation," said Kakashi-sensei. "If we don't stop the bandits when they attack, they will kill you. And Ino and Sasuke and me. And they'll kill the Yame and Teuchi over there too." All of these men are guilty of murder, and some of them are guilty of far worse things. Take this seriously. More than your careers are at stake. Naruto looked a bit disturbed but nodded after a moment. Right. Some last-minute preparations were made, and then they headed out. It was such short notice, Ino didn't even get a chance to say goodbye. She guessed that Kakashi-sensei intended that as part of the lesson. Naruto and Sasuke didn't seem to mind at all, though, because they had no one at home for them. Which was sad, and Ino wondered why it had never occurred to her before now that it was a thing. Ino had known about it, but she hadn't considered what it meant. She hadn't wanted to think about it. Thinking about her crush would mess with her own vision of being bridegroom to Sasuke. Naruto, what are you reading? Asked Sasuke suddenly. Ino looked up and saw Naruto reading through the scroll he'd gotten from the Hokage. Oh it's a scroll the Hokage gave me. It sort of details on how to create these chain things. Apparently, it was written by my dad, the fourth Hokage. Your father was the fourth Hokage? Said Ayame incredulously. Yes, Lord Orochimaru said as much when he gave Naruto this scroll, said Ino. I wonder what he used it for. Actually, the fourth Hokage never used that technique, said Kakashi-sensei. I know for a fact. It's a Kekkei Genki unique to the Uzumaki clan. I'd be careful with that scroll, Naruto. If you lose it, you might never discover how to use it. Naruto said nothing as he read through things. According to this, you learn to use the chains when in the midst of anger. Well, how do I do that? Want me to kick you in the shin? Asked Sasuke. No, thanks, your attack would be way too weak, said Naruto. Okay, but hang on, said Ayame. If Naruto's dad was the fourth Hokage, why would? Focus, said Kakashi-sensei. We've got to stay alert in case of ambush. But we're nowhere near the pass, Kakashi-sensei, said Naruto. Do you think the bandits care about that? Asked Kakashi-sensei. Maybe they've decided to come further down the path and attack here? Maybe a different group of bandits has come here. You have to stay prepared, Naruto. You never know who might be watching. Yes, Kakashi-sensei, said Naruto, putting away the scroll. Ino wondered what the Kekkei Genki was. She'd have to do some research on the Uzumaki clan sometime. Or just ask Naruto, but where was the fun in that? The woodlands surrounding the leaf soon gave way. They found themselves walking in a far green county. Many farms were lying here and fields lying fallow with lines of trees between them. However, soon they came to great farms being worked by many workers. Hey, Kakashi-sensei, what's that? Asked Naruto. That, Naruto, is a tea plantation, said Kakashi-sensei. The Land of Fire has been building a lot more of them in recent years since the Westerners came. Peasants are conscripted to work them for their local lords in exchange for room and board. Land of Air? Asked Ino. A place where people use strange machines for war, said Kakashi-sensei. Many of the machines we use today were imported from them, though some were our own innovations, thanks to Tobirama. So, why the tea? Asked Sasuke. Why come across the world just for that? I gather they like tea a great deal, said Kakashi-sensei. And so merchants can make money on it. Entire families of merchants have made their fortunes selling to them. It's made the Land of Fire powerful and prosperous. Unfortunately, it also has some drawbacks. Like what? Asked Ino. We have to keep contact with Western lands, said Kakashi-sensei. And they've been trying to gain economic control of the Land of Fire and many other places. You know, said Tucci. I once was part of a merchant group running tea from here to the Land of Rice Paddies. As soon as we arrived there, a huge market of merchants was just waiting to buy it. Of course, they went back empty-handed. Why? Asked Naruto. The Land of Air doesn't have nearly as much chakra, said Tucci. So they didn't have any products we wanted. They ended up having to go elsewhere, and we sold it to people from the Sand Village. Why wouldn't they bring something to trade? Asked Ino. I don't think they can, said Tucci. See, they only recently got out of a period of massive chaos. A lot of the techniques we take for granted for making things are all new to them. Well then, what are they doing all the way out here? Asked Ino. They have excellent ships, said Kakashi-sensei. So they can travel all over the world easily, farther than even ninja can. As a result, they can trade with just about anyone. How does that help them? Asked Naruto. Oh, I can answer this, said Ayame. Go ahead, then, said Kakashi-sensei. So, let's say there are 3 villages, said Ayame. Village A needs iron and has plenty of trees. Village B needs trees but has fish, not iron. Village C has iron but needs fish. None of the villages have access to something the other one wants. So a merchant from Village C goes to Village A. They sell their iron before picking up trees to sell to Village B. Finally, they buy fish and take it back home. Everyone is happy, right? Yeah, said Naruto. But I don't get how it applies. Now, said Ayame. What happens when Village C is so distant from Village A and B that it can't make the trip reliably? All of a sudden, the system breaks down. Even though they all have something one of them wants, it doesn't matter. If you can't get to a place, you can't do business. Now, the Westerners can get anywhere by sea, and they can do it very quickly. That means they can access a lot of ports that other countries can't. So if you want to transport your goods really far, you can't use regional shipping. Instead, you need to go to a shipping magnate. He takes your goods, transports them, takes a slice of the profits, and gives the rest to you. So they're middlemen, said Ino. Pretty much, said Ayame. They have this elaborate trade system where they trade all over the place. Eventually, they get here, get the tea for something we actually want, and then head back home. Wow, said Naruto. That's really cool. I think you'll find there are certain aspects that are less cool in time, Naruto, said Kakashi. And then, suddenly, he stopped. Ahead of them, the forested area resumed, but nothing could be seen. Kakashi-sensei looked up at the sky and pretended to admire it. Stop, all of you prepare yourselves. There are 3 men lying in wait ahead of us on the right side of the road. And 6 men on the left. Take a position on the right side. Be ready to move as soon as they come. Yes, Kakashi-sensei, said Ino. They took the position Kakashi-sensei instructed them in. As they did, Kakashi-sensei spoke quickly to Ayame and Tuchi. Then they moved forward. You could cut the tension with a knife. Ino fingered a kunai as they walked slowly forward. Any minute now, she was going to be in a real battle. Would she have to kill someone? No, these guys were untrained, she could do this. And then, suddenly, out of the trees came the men. Chaos ensued. Several of the men came at Ino with clubs and knives, but Naruto downed one of them with a punch. Sasuke disarmed another easily, then struck him precisely, sending him unconscious. Ino found that last one coming at her and realized she was between him and Ayame. Drawing her kunai, she turned his knife and cut his hand. The weapon fell from his grip before she sprung up and kneed him in the face. The man fell back, unconscious, or so she hoped. It was over almost as soon as it had started. It had been so easy. Despite herself, Ino cheered. Take that, Sakura, she'd won her first battle. Ino looked back and saw Kakashi-sensei. 6 men were in front of them, and all of them were dead with kunais in their necks. Ino shuddered as saw the corpses, and Ayame looked away in horror. Kakashi-sensei, said Ino. You killed them. Well, 6 on 1 odds aren't good, even for someone like me, said Kakashi-sensei. You really can't afford to hold back, even when you outmatch your opponent. Then he walked over to their faces, one by one, drawing out the one had posted to compare them. Making his way over to the 3 of them, he drew out kunai and held them in a grip. Yep, these are them. Naruto, Ino, Sasuke, catch. Kunai were tossed at their feet. Ino wondered why he'd thrown them to them. They had their own kunai. Ayame, Tuchi, you might want to avert your eyes for this, said Kakashi-sensei. Sasuke, Naruto, Ino. Execute the bandits. What? Said Ino. But shouldn't we take them to jail? We've already got a death warrant on them, Ino, said Kakashi-sensei. There's no point in risking taking them all the way back to the village, just so someone else can do the dirty work for us. But, Ino shifted, you want us to kill them? It's better than most of them get in other places, said Kakashi-sensei with a shrug. No fear of strangulation or torture. Certainly, better than they deserve. Sasuke, you first. Sasuke hesitated for a moment, looking over his kunai. Kakashi-sensei waited for a moment. How do you expect to ever kill Itachi Uchiha if you can't kill a bandit? Sasuke's eyes hardened, and he kneed down, driving the blade through the bandit's throat. Ino choked as she saw the blood on the blade. Kakashi-sensei looked to Naruto. Good. Naruto, you're next. The man Naruto had punched came to and scrambled back as he saw Naruto over him with a kunai. No, please, don't hurt me. I'll become a monk. I'll give up, just. Naruto swung his kunai, and blood spattered from the wound. He didn't hesitate or anything, and suddenly the man was gurgling at his feet. He looked up to Kakashi-sensei. Kakashi-sensei, how was that? Naruto, that's too shallow, said Kakashi-sensei. Now he's going to bleed out slowly. You want one clean thrust like Sasuke did. Right, said Naruto. Sorry. Then he stabbed the man through the throat, and that was the end of it. It had been so easy for Naruto. Why? Naruto was usually too nice for his own good. Good, said Kakashi-sensei. Ino, do it. Ino looked to the man she'd knocked out. This guy was a human being. He'd had parents, friends, family, and dreams. Killing him while he was unconscious, it was like she was a bandit. But Ino stammered. You're wasting your teammates' time, Ino, said Kakashi-sensei. Kill the bandit. Ino's hands were shaking. How could Naruto have done this so easily? Kakashi-sensei, put down the kunai, said Kakashi suddenly. But began Ino. It's fine, I'm not angry, said Kakashi. Naruto, watch him. Then he raised the wanted poster. Look at this wanted poster, Ino. This man is named Akiyoshi Kaba, and he was exiled from his village for murder. He'd wanted another man's wife, and when he couldn't have her, he killed them both. The others all had a similar story. If they wanted to live an honest life as farmers, they could have. But he didn't. See that part there? Wanted for murder, rape, and robbery. You are only as good a person as the worst thing you've ever done. Those crimes listed here? That is who Akiyoshi Kaba is. Everything else is just window dressing. Why should the state waste free room and board so he can spend years in silent misery? If you don't kill him, we'll have to drag him off to be killed by someone else. Or have one of your teammates do it. And if we let him go, he'll kill again? Now, do it. Ino choked but realized it wasn't fair to Naruto or Sasuke. She couldn't make them do something like this. Yes, Kakashi-sensei. Walking back to the man, she put her kunai before her eyes, closed them, and drove the blade in. She felt the flesh give way to the blade as it sunk in, then she drew it out and stumbled back. She looked away and opened her eyes, not wanting to see his face. Instead, she saw all the other dead faces. It wasn't much better, but she'd had to do it. Still, she felt sick and wanted to throw up. Even so, she didn't let herself show that weakness. Sasuke looked a bit disturbed. Naruto, though, he just looked bored. Like they'd finished AD rank and wanted to get on with it. Well done, all of you, said Kakashi-sensei. What you're feeling now is natural. The human mind isn't designed to take a life, but it gets easier after a little while. Remember what it means to take a life, and remember that it is never something to be done lightly. Kakashi-sensei, this is the worst thing I've ever done, said Ino, feeling the emotions washing over her. Her hands were bloody, it was all over her. I'm a murderer. No, you aren't, said Naruto. These guys were bad guys. Now they won't be around to cause problems anymore. Problem solved. Why are you so upset about them anyway? Naruto is right, said Kakashi-sensei. To kill for a just cause is not murder. It is the path of a true ninja. And then he looked at Naruto. Naruto, are you alright? Naruto noticed the looks everyone was giving him and shifted, changing expressions. He seemed to be figuring out what everyone was so upset about. Then he adopted an expression of guilt and confusion, like he was acting. I feel nothing, Kakashi-sensei. Nothing at all. Should I feel something at this? Kakashi-sensei looked at him. Well, I'm sure we can work out what we should be feeling later. Tuchi, Ayame, perhaps we should head on. Yes, that is wise, said Kakashi-sensei. On they went as quickly as could be managed. Naruto quickly made his way over to Ayame. Ayame, are you okay? They didn't hurt you, did they? No, I'm fine, Naruto, said Ayame, looking away. I guess I didn't really realize what a ninja meant being. Ino, however, was not satisfied. Something here didn't add up. Kakashi-sensei, how did you get those wanted posters? The night before you were given this mission, Lord Orochimaru sent out Anko. She learned everything she could about them, said Kakashi. We found their home villages and consulted the records. Talked to people who knew them. Then why not just have them kill them? Asked Ino. Why? 2 reasons, said Kakashi-sensei. First, it means we get 2 missions instead of 1. Ninja needs missions to eat, and we're in a dry spell, what with the long peace. Anko needs to be given a mission now and then to pay the bills. And this kind of investigation takes time. Second, it means that the Hokage could use the mission to test a selected group of genin. This was one more test. And you passed with flying colors. Ino shifted. When do the tests end? Kakashi-sensei might have smiled beneath the mask. Well, if I ever get to the end of them, I'll be sure to let you know. Ino smiled despite herself. Being a ninja had its drawbacks. Still, at least she had a team with her. Naruto had hoped that once they finished off the bandits, they could head home. Unfortunately, Kakashi-sensei ordered them on. It was nice talking with Ayame and Ino, of course. But everyone had been kind of weird with him after he killed those guys. Why were they giving him those looks? Kakashi-sensei had wanted him to kill those guys, hadn't he? Naruto had been trying to be helpful. So why was everyone acting like he'd done something wrong? Even if the others weren't saying it. It was like they felt he'd done something wrong, but didn't really know what. Naruto had done what he was supposed to do, and they knew it. But they also felt like he shouldn't have done it so easily. Being a ninja was hard. Geez, I am so tired, said Ino as she walked. Hey, Kakashi-sensei, seeing as we killed the bandits, why are we still walking? You forget that Teuchi and Ayame still have their own job to do, Ino, said Kakashi-sensei. We're sticking with them until we reach the outpost. Once we're there, we may have new orders waiting for us, or we may not. Great, said Ino. I was hoping to go back to my research. What was the big deal about Sakura's parents anyway? Sakura was Sakura. Who she was born to didn't matter. I get used to this, said Kakashi-sensei. In times of war, you can often end up leaving home for long periods of time, much longer than expected. Just think of this as a field training exercise. Where we have to kill people, noted Ino. Kakashi-sensei seemed amused by this. Yes, that's exactly it, Ino, exactly. On they walked. As they did, the day wore on, and Teuchi and Ayame spoke together about a number of things. However, they mostly kept to themselves, and Naruto was busy keeping watch. He hoped he hadn't done something to alienate them. They were the only people who were nice to them for years. Shouldn't we stop at an inn soon? Asked Sasuke suddenly. It's getting dark. We'll see, said Kakashi-sensei. We may have to sleep outdoors, depending on when we arrive. On a walk, however, they moved through a village. Naruto saw within the village an inn of sorts. It looked a bit shady, and a man was lying in front of it, a pipe by his side. He was sleeping, but his eyes were open. What about that one, Kakashi-sensei? Asked Naruto, motioning to it. Kakashi-sensei glanced up at it. Ah, not that one, Naruto. That's not the kind of place we'll want to stay. We shouldn't stay in this village at all, in fact. You see, it's an opium den. I don't want my genin anywhere near the stuff. I'd say we've had enough stress for one trip, wouldn't you? What do you mean by that? Asked Naruto. Well, the drug, opium is highly addictive, said Kakashi-sensei. Initially people take it because it has effects on them they enjoy. However, as they take more of it, desire becomes a need. Soon they start to deteriorate, and at the same time, they need it to live. Then, out of an alley, came a group of men carrying a body. It was lying on a stretcher, and the man on it was covered with a white cloth. From the looks of things, some of the customers are being removed as we speak, said Kakashi-sensei. Why is this stuff allowed? Asked Ino. It isn't, said Kakashi-sensei. However, smugglers frequently make a profit moving it over the border in secret. Some officials in the Land of Fire accept bribes to not enforce it. Of course, the Hokage has never allowed it to reach any areas near our villages. Even so, it is becoming an increasing problem. They grow it in the Land of Rice Paddies and sell it to the smugglers. Aren't the Sound Village our allies? Asked Naruto. The Sound Village don't run the Land of Rice Paddies, Naruto, said Kakashi-sensei. In any case, we should move on. Sometimes violence breaks out in these places, and it's best not to be around when it happens. And then the opium den exploded. It blew outwards, and the building collapsed in on itself. People screamed and ran as the wood fell inward into blasted wreckage. Kakashi-sensei raced forward and quickly made hand signs as a blazing inferno rose. Water style. Wave rain jutsu, said Kakashi, making hand signs. As he finished, water came from the air, forming into a cloud before pouring down upon the flames. Soon they began to die away. Then he moved forward. Ino, stay with Ayame and Teuchi. Sasuke, Naruto, come with me. We'll check for survivors. Checking for survivors was a lot of trouble. Naruto created clones to help clear away the wreckage. However, they found no survivors. The corpses were charred and burned. Why would someone slaughter an entire opium den? Asked Sasuke, speaking for the first time in a while. There are a number of possible reasons, said Kakashi-sensei, one of his eyes flaring red. However, these were done with explosive tags. I sense the residual chakra. This was done by a ninja. Judging from the design, they were trained as a member of the Bloody Mist. Leaf designs are designed for minimal collateral. The Bloody Mist trains for the area of effect. Come on, we're leaving this village. We'll report it when we arrive. But shouldn't we try to find this guy? Asked Naruto. There's no point, said Kakashi. These people are already dead. And we have no idea why they were marked. The standard policy is to avoid fighting other ninjas if it can be avoided. There's no sense in making a stir. But Kakashi-sensei, said Naruto. They murdered these people. Most of them would have been dead in a little while anymore, mused Kakashi. Those that wouldn't have are worse than scum. And we have a mission to take care of that is unrelated to this. So they left the wreckage behind. Naruto raced up to Ayame. Are you alright, Ayame? Were you hurt in the explosion, any? No, I'm fine, said Ayame quickly. What happened there? We think it was some sort of assassination, said Naruto. Some other ninja on a mission. Kakashi-sensei wants us to leave. Something is going on here. And so, on they went, leaving the village behind them. They stayed outside that night, and Ino seemed to be staring into the fire. Naruto shifted. Ino, yeah, what is it? Asked Ino. Is this really what being a ninja is about, do you think? Asked Naruto. I mean, that guy killed a lot of people. And we were just told to move out. We should have tried to find him or something. Do you think we'd be able to beat them? Asked Ino. I mean, we're just genin. Kakashi-sensei probably just doesn't want us fighting them. Yeah, said Naruto. You're right. I'll be the leaf is sending someone to take care of it or something. It was what Naruto told himself. The next few days were spent traveling, and they passed through several villages. Looking at the farmers, he saw that many of them were thin as if they weren't eating enough. Yet, at the same time, they seemed to be harvesting a lot of crops. The Leaf Village's people in the surrounding villages hadn't looked like this. Kakashi-sensei, said Naruto. Why do those people look so hungry? I mean, there hasn't been a famine, has there? That depends on a lot of things, said Kakashi-sensei. It may be that their lord has been levying a heavy tax on them. The Leaf Village tries to maintain good relations with its ordinary folk. Some lords, however, are far less benevolent. It's an unfortunate reality of the world we live in. There's no sense in fretting over it. Naruto thought this didn't seem right. And when he caught a glimpse of a rich noble, clad in fine silk and very fat, the idea solidified. It wasn't right that these people should go hungry. And, at last, they reached the outpost. It was actually quite impressive, situated upon the cliffs by a pass. The walls were high and tall and manned heavily. On the road leading up to the gates, they found a boy meditating. He wore a green jumpsuit, and his hands were covered in bandages. His hair was tied into a bowl cut. On his head was a headband with the symbol of the leaf. He stood up and waved as he saw their headbands. Hail and well met, comrades of the leaf. I am Rock Lee, and I am here to welcome you to the outpost. It is my hope that we shall all become splendid ninja together. Oh, hey, nice to meet you, said Ino, seeming a bit weirded out. So why are you waiting up? He's part of Guy's squad, said Kakashi-sensei quickly. One of Orochimaru's students, alongside Anko and Iruka. Rock Lee and his comrades have been genin for a full year by this point, I believe. Indeed, Kakashi-sensei, said Rock Lee. And we have been taking C ranks regularly. So, where is the rest of your squad anyway? Asked Naruto. Guy-sensei is not here at the moment, said Rock Lee. He was called for a meeting over the border. He ordered my teammates and I to look out for you and then a girl rushed out of the trees. In an ordinary sort of way, she was very pretty with hair tied up in a way that resembled panda ears. Her outfit was brown and practical, and her hair was brown also. At her side was a belt of kunai and throwing stars. Lee, we've got another one. Surely not, Tenten, said Rock Lee. I'm afraid so, said Tenten. Neji is there now. This is awful, said Rock Lee. When will these cowardly attacks cease? What's going on? asked Kakashi-sensei. Someone has been destroying opium dens, said Tenten. They blow the places up and then murder any addicts who they didn't catch in the blast. Neji saw them hit a village when we were on our way here, and they've hit 3 more. We've sent several reports, but haven't heard anything about it. We'd better meet about this, said Kakashi-sensei. Where is Neji? He's examining the crime scene, said Tenten. I'll show you the way. Kakashi-sensei nodded. Tucci, Ayame, can you make it to the fort on your own? You don't need to worry about us, said Tucci. It's a short way, and you've got more important things to worry about. Lee, go with them, said Kakashi-sensei. Understood, said Lee. I shall keep them safe and secure. Kakashi-sensei nodded, and they raced off. Tenten led them through the trees at far greater speed. Naruto found he had difficulty keeping up with her. He realized now that Kakashi-sensei had been pacing himself for them. Now that Kakashi-sensei was pacing himself for Tenten, they had trouble keeping up. I'm Tenten, by the way, said Tenten, glancing at Naruto. Who are you? Naruto Uzumaki, believe it, said Naruto, putting on his usual smile. I'm Ino, and this is Sasuke Uchiha, said Ino. Great, sorry we don't have more time to meet, said Tenten. But, we've got serious problems here. We know, agreed Kakashi-sensei. We saw their handiwork on the way in. Tucci head into the outpost. We'll deal with this. Soon enough, they came to the village in question, situated before the pass. Once again, the wreckage of the opium den was lying there. A boy was looking through it. He had an expressionless face and long brown hair and was clad in white. His eyes were the same as Hinata's, without pupils. Tenten landed, and he looked to her and Lee. Neji, we're here, said Tenten. Tenten, I take it this is Team 7 then, said Neji. Yeah, that's us, said Ino. It's been a while, Neji. I was given to understand that Sakura Haruno was assigned to Team 7, said Neji. And you to Team 10. Shikamaru, Sakura and Choji washed out, said Ino. Sasuke said nothing, just put his hands in his pockets. I see, said Neji. That is to be expected from failures. You know each other? Asked Naruto, incredulously. Our families have met several times for negotiations, said Neji. That is all you ever need to know. And then he turned to Kakashi-sensei and pretended to take no more notice. Kakashi Hitaki, we are under orders to follow your directives. At least until such time as Gai-sensei returns. Well, that makes sense, said Kakashi-sensei. Did Gai say what it was he was meeting about? I gather he was to deliver certain reports to Lord Kimimaro of the Sound Village, said Neji. He could say no more than that. Very well, said Kakashi-sensei. Give me your report. There was only one of them, said Neji. I saw him in action on my way here with my Byakugan. I've taken to scanning the surrounding villages now and then, in case they stage an attack. Then why didn't you stop him? Asked Naruto, incredulously. Obviously, because I was nowhere close enough, said Neji. I have duties at this fort. Naruto, said Ino. The Byakugan can let someone see for miles and miles and through physical objects. Neji could have seen them, but not get here in time. What did he appear like? Asked Kakashi-sensei. She wore a mask and had long, dark hair and wielded senbon, said Neji. She had deliberately worn concealing clothes to hide her physique. When launching the attack, she wore a mask like one of the Mist's Anbo. Her movements were swift, efficient, and he wasted no time to gloat as some do. As far as I could tell, she did not gloat or send any message. Simply slipped into the den, set explosives, left, and activated them. I also perceived her killing several people smoking the substance. She wielded senbon as a weapon. He took nothing and did not examine any of the corpses. As such, I believe he has been deliberately targeting the opium establishments themselves. Many of these dens are owned by a number of different companies. And they are frequently visited by foreigners. As such, I suspect this is a deliberate campaign against foreigners. Likely meant to inspire terror. It's possible that someone is trying to stop the flow of opium, mused Kakashi-sensei. Perhaps to make an example of those who use the drug. If people who use opium start being murdered en masse, it might motivate some to quit. And prevent others from ever using it. But why would the Bloody Mist care? Asked Sasuke. I suspect it's merely a false flag operation, said Kakashi. In this way, whoever is really behind this can disavow all knowledge of their actions. But that's horrible, said Ino. She's murdering people because they're addicted to this stuff. Neji, were you given any orders regarding these murders? Asked Kakashi-sensei. No, Kakashi. We were simply to await you, said Neji. However, when the massacres began, we felt we ought to investigate them. That said, I have noticed that there has been no move to prevent these attacks. Many of the Westerners have sent envoys requesting an investigation, but nothing has been done. Our own instructions from the Leaf was to observe and report to you what we found. Why wouldn't they help them? Asked Naruto. They probably don't care, said Sasuke. What are we going to do about this? Nothing, said Kakashi-sensei. Nothing? Asked Naruto. But, this village isn't in our sphere of influence, said Kakashi-sensei. Ninjas do not have the right to operate here without being called in. Our presence in the fort is part of a mission for the feudal lord, whom we owe nominal allegiance to the feudal lord. What does that have to do with anything? Asked Naruto. Ino looked up in shock. Kakashi-sensei, you cannot seriously think. I don't think anything, Ino, said Kakashi-sensei. However, these ninja might be operating on the orders of someone with legal authority. If so, attempting to kill his ninja could cause an international incident. In the village, people are people. Outside of it, however, the lords have the power of life and death over their subjects. It may be that this one has chosen death. So we're just going to let this guy go around killing people? Asked Naruto, feeling sick. No, said Kakashi-sensei. We're going to perform our mission, Naruto. And that mission will make all of this unnecessary. What mission? What are you talking about? Asked Tenten. Yes, well, there was never going to be a good time to say this, said Kakashi-sensei. Our C rank was also a test. Depending on how you performed it, I choose whether you assign you another C rank, this one higher tier. Follow me. Later, within the fort, Team 7 and Team Guy all met together within a room overlooking the pass. Rock Lee was looking troubled, having heard what happened from Tenten. Neji was expressionless, while Sasuke looked frustrated. Ino, meanwhile, kept pacing back and forth as Kakashi-sensei laid out a map. Was the feudal lord really killing his own people, simply to prove a point? The shipping magnate, Gato, has been selling opium and a lot of it. It is the same stuff that the smugglers are bringing into the Land of Fire, said Kakashi-sensei. Wait, why don't we just arrest them then? Asked Naruto. Unfortunately, they are not technically breaking the law, said Kakashi-sensei. You see, instead of selling the drug directly here, they simply take it to the border. Then they sell the goods to anyone who wants to buy it and don't ask any questions. They don't technically know that the opium is going into the Land of Fire, so they haven't broken any of our laws. Technically, at least. But, Ino looked up. Why sell opium? It's a dream product from a seller's perspective, said Tenten with a shrug. Once you sell it once, you are guaranteed to have repeat customers. Customers who will buy more with every subsequent purchase. It also has the added benefit of weakening the nation you sell it in. Tenten is quite correct, said Kakashi-sensei. A nation whose men are enfeebled by drugs can fight no wars. Meanwhile, the lord of the Land of Rice Paddies is hopelessly corrupt and has been incooperative. 3 primary storehouses have been set up on the border. Each one has immense fortunes worth of opium waiting for transport. Why can't we just go in and burn it up? Asked Naruto flatly. Because that would cause an international incident, said Ino flatly. It could be a cause for war. I'm in agreement with Naruto, said Rock Lee. These people are murdering the innocent with this drug. We should stop them. Naruto is correct, said Neji. This is simply war conducted through economic means. However, a direct assault is out of the question. As a matter of fact, Lord Orochimaru agrees with you, said Kakashi-sensei. Technically, we are unable to do anything legally. However, well, it is summer, and fires sometimes break out. Given the right series of unfortunate coincidences, there could be a very large one. It is quite possible that the storehouses of opium might disappear? In the chaos and confusion. Sasuke nodded. So we make it look like an accident. Not quite, said Kakashi-sensei. We have to leave some room for doubt. Our objective is to send a message without having that message go on record. So, what role do we play? Asked Neji. Kakashi-sensei pointed to a map. We are going to destroy this warehouse here. It's a couple of miles over the border. The Sound Village will handle this one, and another team from the Sand Village will handle the last. We'll obliterate the warehouse and leave no trace of our presence. And that last part is important. No one must know who we are or what we did. We will not be wearing our headbands for this mission. And if we are captured, the Leaf will disavow knowledge of our activities. How are we going to explain this? Coincidence? Asked Neji. A deranged serial killer is going around murdering opium addicts, said Kakashi-sensei. Such an individual could certainly burn down storehouses as well. If all goes well, we'll ruin a great many merchants that have invested in this evil product. We'll also save a great many lives and come back to deal with what's going on out here. I know this is difficult, but this is the life of a ninja. Sometimes we have to get our hands dirty. If you three don't feel prepared to undertake this mission, you can back out now. I won't hold it against you, and we can take this slow. I'm certain I can handle this alone. There was silence. Naruto was feeling more and more doubtful about all this, and he could tell Ino felt the same. If we don't do this, Kakashi-sensei, what happens? Asked Ino. If those warehouses remain standing, then contents it will be sold, said Kakashi-sensei. It'll kill hundreds, maybe thousands, and ruin the lives of their families and friends. The people who sell it will become filthy rich and live in luxury. And the land of fire will become vulnerable to foreign invasion. We have to do this, said Sasuke simply. There's no choice. We're in, said Naruto. Ino nodded. Right. As are we, said Neji. We will not allow these foul villains to triumph. A true ninja never backs down from evil, said Rock Lee. Except when it is politically inconvenient, you mean, said Neji. Then he glanced with pupilless eyes to the wreckage of an opium den far away. Rock Lee did not have an answer to that. Neither did anyone else. The warehouse, as it turned out, was several miles distant from the village. Armed guards with spears patrolled it, about 6 of them. Kakashi-sensei brought the two teams to a halt in the trees just out of sight. So what's the plan, Kakashi-sensei? Asked Naruto. Well, the first thing we need to discuss is that we want the minimum number of casualties, said Kakashi. The Leaf Village is a village of professionals. We don't kill without need, and we don't enjoy it. As such, our goal is to destroy this warehouse without killing anyone. It doesn't look very well defended, Kakashi-sensei, said Ino. Yes, I know, said Kakashi-sensei. That's because they aren't expecting an attack. We'll need a two-step process here. Naruto, Ino, Sasuke, we'll infiltrate and set fire to the warehouse. Once the flames have started, we'll pull out. Neji, you will stay on watch with your team. You'll be out backup if the worst should happen. You'll also radio us if anything happens we need to know about. Tenten, be prepared to cover us, and Lee, you'll guard here. Yes, Kakashi-sensei, said Tenten. Understood, said Neji with a nod. This does not seem glorious, mused Lee, somewhat disappointed. Naruto didn't blame him. They'd carried a lot of heavy packs here for this. No, but it's necessary, said Kakashi-sensei. Neji's status as a Hyuga makes him an ideal pointman material. Oh, and one more thing. None of you are to use any jutsu. What? Asked Ino. But why? The Leaf Village has a different training regime from other villages, said Kakashi-sensei. Lord Orochimaru, for instance, created a variety of clone jutsu. It combined the assets of the obsolete shadow clone while being less dangerous to use. None of the other villages have it. So if we were to be seen using any jutsu from the Leaf, it would be a dead giveaway. We'll only be using taijutsu here. Ino, do you have the oil? Yes, Kakashi-sensei, said Ino. Good, said Kakashi. Then let's go. And so began their mission. The four of them waited as the patrol moved past the windows of the doors. Waiting in silence, they shot forward as they passed. Silently, the four of them sprinted up the walls and got to the windows near the warehouse's top. There, Sasuke set to work on prying them open, while Naruto and Ino stayed back, clad all in black. You hear about the recent murders? Asked one of the guards. No, what about it? Asked another. A group of ninja has been going around massacring opium addicts all over the place, said the first. The villages are claiming it's one ninja, but I think we've got a whole group. No way that it's being done by just one man. So what do you think it is? Asked the second. My guess, the Land of Fire is trying to destroy our business interests, replied his friend. Come on, let's keep walking the beat. Sasuke got the window open, and they slipped on through as quick as they could. Sasuke first, then Ino, then Kakashi-sensei and finally Naruto. On the other side, Naruto slid the window as closed as he dared then look down. He was standing on a platform overlooking shipments upon shipments of opium. The containers were everywhere. "No one here," said Kakashi-sensei, raising a walkie-talkie. "Let's get to work, you three." "Anything, Neji?" "Nothing yet," said Neji. "Wait, there is a party heading toward this location. They are led by a blonde, armored boy." "How far?" asked Kakashi-sensei. "Perhaps a mile," said Neji. "They just took the path leading this way." "Keep us posted," said Kakashi-sensei. "Alright, we may be on a timetable, so work quickly. Set the oil, and let's go." And so it began. The three of them poured oil over the shipments and set down started wherever they could. Kakashi-sensei had trained them to use only as much as would start a fire. Once things got hot enough in here, everything would burn. "They are nearly in sight, Kakashi-sensei," said Tenten. "Sasuke, are you done?" asked Kakashi. Sasuke had just finished pouring the last of his oil. "Yes, we're fine." "Good," said Kakashi-sensei. "Set the fire, and let's go. Don't throw the light, just touch the flame to the oil. Remember to leave no trace." All of them drew out their lighters. Naruto pulled out his and flicked it. Nothing. He tried again, feeling tense as he saw Ino light her fire. A third time and still nothing. Sasuke had lit his fire, and Naruto could feel the flames. "Kakashi-sensei, my lighter isn't working." Kakashi drew out another and passed it to Naruto. "Calm down. I brought a spare. Do it now." Naruto took it, nodded, and flipped it open. Leaning down, he lit the oil and drew back his hand as the fires rose. "That's done it," said Kakashi-sensei. "Come on, out quickly." The three of them surged up the walkway and back to the window. Sasuke eased it open after checking to see there were no guards. The three of them shot out toward the trees, Kakashi-sensei pausing only to shut the window. "We're out," said Ino as they reached the trees. "It worked," said Naruto. "We did it." "Not yet," said Kakashi-sensei. "We should wait and confirm the flame catches." "Flames. The warehouse is on fire," said a man. The waiting was unpleasant. Naruto saw the flames rise higher and higher, saw men try to combat the blaze, and safely get the cargo out of it. But it was in vain. The entire entrance was covered in flames. Bells were now ringing, and a fire brigade was begun. He saw a man yelling in horror as he watched the flames rise. This was someone's livelihood. Merchants, just like Tucci, were going to lose their livelihoods. All because of what Naruto had done. No, these were opium traders. Tucci had never hurt anybody, but these guys had. They were bad guys. Somehow, bad guys didn't cut it when he saw a man screaming in despair. "That's enough for today," said Kakashi-sensei. "Let's move." Together, they cleared the area of tracks and sprinted away. As they ran, Naruto felt really miserable as he thought of that guy back there. He imagined Tucci Ramen going up in flames and how he'd feel. Looking over to Ino and Sasuke, he noticed they weren't nearly so upset. "That was a lot less dramatic than I was expecting," said Ino. "Well, of course, it was," said Kakashi-sensei, amused. "If a ninja is doing his job properly, no one will ever even know they were there." On they rushed through the trees. They zigzagged back and forth to throw off anyone who might follow their trail. Finally, they arrived at a river, and Kakashi landed within it. They went with him. "There, that should be far enough," said Kakashi-sensei. "Get into the river. We'll move further upstream a ways and then break off." And then a familiar presence landed. Anko landed, and with him came three others clad in camo. The first was a pretty, dark-haired girl with incredibly long hair. Next came a boy with spiky brown hair. The third was wrapped in bandages and wearing a cold weather jacket. On his right hand was a gauntlet. "So, I guess someone else had the same idea, huh?" asked Anko. "Anko?" asked Kakashi. Anko spun around on one leg and bowed with a smirk. "The one and only, Kakashi. We just finished our work here." "Where's Guy?" asked Kakashi. "Observing the sand village's handiwork," said Anko. Then Shot motioned to her squad. "This is Dosu, the one in bandages. Kin is the token girl, and Zaku is the lancer. They're my students." "I am not a token girl," said Kin. "Hang on a sec. I thought the Sound Village was handling the warehouse over that way," said Naruto. Dosu looked at Naruto, then to Anko. "He's not very bright, is he?" "Quiet Dosu, we're all friends here," said Anko. "Speak for yourself," said Zaku. To answer your question, I've got something of a dual allegiance going, said Anko. Lord Orochimaru set up the Sound Village specifically to act as a buffer state between the sand and us. He appointed its leadership, and I often do missions for both. I also keep Lord Orochimaru abreast of what is happening. Anko-sensei is the power behind the throne, said Kin proudly. Well, I wouldn't call myself as such, Kin, said Anko. But I do walk in powerful circles. Let's get going. Together they began to walk as quickly as possible along the river to cover their tracks. Anko moved near Kakashi-sensei, and Naruto found it strange they were the same age. So, how'd your mission go? Last time we checked, the warehouse was a blazing inferno, said Kakashi. At the very least, the stores should be seriously damaged. So I guess your genin are living up to expectations, said Anko. Nice work. On they walked, and as they did, Neji Hyuga kept stealing glanced at Kin. Eventually, she seemed to notice. What are you looking at, blank eyes? You, said Neji. I'm somewhat impressed with your ability to hide knives all over your person. Neji, you're not using your Byakugan on them, are you? Asked Kakashi. You must have seen something you liked, I guess, said Anko teasingly. Don't be absurd, said Neji. I use it on everyone I meet initially. One of my duties as a member of the branch clan is to ensure the main clan's safety. That also involves checking for weapons. That's depraved, said Dosu. I was looking at your bone structure, imbecile, said Neji flatly. My gaze strips away all physical matter and pieces earth, smoke, and flesh. That's right, said Rock Lee. Neji is a highly principled ninja and would never do so unethical a thing as peep upon a fellow ninja. Shut up, Lee, said Neji flatly. This is wonderful, said Lee heedless. We have achieved our mission and have met together as comrades once more. Truly we shall become splendid ninja together. Is he always like this? Asked Ken. More or less, admitted Tenten. Naruto, though, kept looking back over the mission and what he could have done better. Moving up behind Kakashi, he paused. Kakashi-sensei why'd my lighter break like that, do you think? Kakashi shrugged. It happens. This is why you should always keep a spare piece of equipment when traveling. You usually lose something along the way. Neji ended up dropping to the rear of the column and kept glancing around, scanning. Eventually, he halted entirely and stared. Tenten went to him then. What is it, Neji? He's killing them, said Neji, voice horrified. Who? Asked Kakashi-sensei. I'm looking at the village the Sand Village was supposed to destroy the Opium in, said Neji. There, something is killing everyone inside. What? Why? Asked Anko. I don't know, there's. Neji paused. There are waves of sand, destroying buildings and ripping people to shreds. They wielded by a red-headed boy our own age. There's also a blonde girl throwing around wind storms. They're killing those who are fleeing through the fields. And, I can see there is a puppet master. I can see his threads, slaughtering those in the forests. He uses needles tipped with poison. There is a militia of Westerners firing their guns at the redhead, however, the sand is blocking the shots. Wait, no, he's going after them, one at a time. He's deliberately drawing out their deaths. Kakashi-sensei, I request permission to engage them. Rasa, was all Kakashi-sensei said, voice grim. Kakashi-sensei, do I have permission to engage? Said Neji. What's going on? Asked Kin. The case is well documented for his utilitarian outlook on ruling a village, said Kakashi-sensei. It seems he has decided to make an example of the village itself by killing everyone within it. And he's sent his son, Gaara of the Sand, the one-tailed Jinchuriki. None of you would be able to defeat him. Even I might not manage it. We should move on. Doing this will only draw attention to the sand. Any vengeance the land of air will be directed at them. We cannot allow this to happen, Kakashi-sensei, said Neji. Yes, said Lee. What kind of ninja would we be if we simply abandoned an entire village to be slaughtered? Lee is right. Guy-sensei would never let this happen, said Tenten. By the time you arrive, everyone in that village will be dead. Snapped Kakashi-sensei. And it will make it look like we were in league with them. We were in league with them, said Ino suddenly, horrified. We can't just let this happen. Guy-sensei is there, said Neji suddenly. What? Said Kakashi-sensei. What do you mean? He's just knocked out the wind user flat out, said Neji. It only took one strike. Wait, Gaara is sending his sand after him, but he can't catch him. He's completely outdistancing Gaara's sand. He can't even lay a tendril on him. I've never seen anyone move so fast. Wait, the girl is back up. She is using her fan to attack Guy-sensei now. Hang on, he got out of the way of her gusts, and she's down. The puppet master noticed what is going on. Gaara is now focusing everything on Guy-sensei. Gaara is down, hit in the back of the neck. The puppet master calls off his puppets and tries to respond, but he can't even see Guy-sensei. I've lost track of him. The puppet master is looking around as well. He's running to the aid of the blonde girl. Neji paused, peering intently. Guy-sensei got him. He's been rendered unconscious. Geez, said Kin, though eyes are pretty handy. So what's going on now? Asked Anko sharply. Guy-sensei appears to be handing custody of them over to a boy, said Neji. He's blonde and has brought forces to protect the villagers. He wears fine clothes of a Western kind. I think he may be Lord Temujin. Lord, who? Asked Naruto. Authority figure for the land of air, said Neji. Gaara and the others have been taken, prisoner. Silence. Did they at least destroy the opium warehouse? Asked Zaku. Everyone glared at him. What? Said Zaku. It's a legitimate question. Yes, said Neji. Yes, they did. Guy-sensei is heading back this way now. Dead silence then followed. So your sensei seems like a really cool guy, said Naruto suddenly. Not as cool as Kakashi-sensei, maybe, but that was hard. Yes, he totally is, said Lee. Guy-sensei is the coolest and most youthful person in the world. I aspire to be a splendid ninja, just like him. He is a formidable ninja, despite his eccentricities, said Neji. Yes, we get it. He's a badass, said Kin. Now shut up with the friendship speeches. Some of us want to get home in one piece. And then, Guy-sensei arrived. He landed with the blazing sun behind him in a crouch, clad in a green jumpsuit. He looked very much like an older version of Lee, and he struck a pose. Greetings, my youthful ninja. How did the mission go? Great, Guy-sensei, said Lee. We destroyed the opium together with the combined power of our comrades. I was going to report that no one detected us, said Neji. However, that seems the moot point. Maybe so, but the power of youth requires persistence in the face of adversity, said Guy-sensei. Just look at my eternal rival, Kakashi Hatake. How's it going, Kakashi? Kakashi put his face in his hands. Congratulations, Guy, you've just started a war. Ino was not happy at all. Not happy at all. Even being back in the leaf hadn't helped because now they were in the Hokage's waiting room. She paced back and forth, her arms behind her back in frustration. At the same time, Naruto was leaning back on the couch, munching some chocolates that had been left out. He wished she'd just calm down a bit. Oh, this is gonna suck, said Ino. What do you mean? Asked Naruto. We did the mission. Sasuke looked up. Yeah, but we backstabbed our allies. They were killing innocent people, Ino, said Naruto. And they were murdering the guards and opium traders. That's not the point, said Ino. And since when are you so sensitive to opium traders? What do you mean? Asked Naruto. Naruto, remember that bandit? Asked Ino. Kakashi-sensei asked you stab him, and you put a knife through him without question. He'd probably done far worse than the opium traders. Well yeah, but he was a bad guy, said Naruto, not getting it. And the traders weren't? Asked Ino. Well, Naruto shifted, feeling Sasuke's eyes on him. I mean, I initially thought they were just a bunch of bad guys who we needed to fight. But then I saw how upset the merchant was when he watched his goods get destroyed. So? Asked Ino. Well, Tucci has goods too, and if someone burned down his store, he'd be really upset, said Naruto. It would be horrible. Tucci isn't selling poison, Naruto, said Ino. Well, that doesn't make him not human, said Naruto, not getting why she was so upset. Nobody had regarded the bandits as people, but they did regard the opium traders as such. Why else would they do business with them? Not human? Asked Ino. You sliced. Kakashi-sensei appeared at that moment. Ino, if you don't mind, I'll handle this. Ino looked like she wanted to speak up but finally gave up. She'd been really distant from them the whole way back. Killing that guy had hurt her. Fine, Kakashi-sensei. Kakashi-sensei led Naruto away, and Naruto asked the obvious. Why is everyone treating me like I'm weird? First, I kill that bandit, and everyone looks at me weird. Now because I feel bad about the opium trader, everyone looks at me weird. It's a question of extremes, Naruto, said Kakashi-sensei. Why do you feel bad about killing the opium trader and not the bandit? Because no one cares, the bandit is dead, said Naruto simply. It was the obvious answer, but it sounded awful out loud. I think that sounded better in my head. I'll bet, said Kakashi-sensei. Naruto, have you considered the possibility that your attitude is self-contradictory? An opium merchant, who is actively destabilizing the land of fire, does far more damage than a lone bandit. Just because he is an upstanding member of society doesn't make him a good person. So, I mean, Naruto paused. You told me not to care about the bandit. No, I didn't, said Kakashi-sensei with a sigh. I told you to kill him. The bandit's sentence had been decided, and it was our task to carry it out. Doing so was an important step in your training. So what am I supposed to think? Asked Naruto, not getting this. The Leaf Village has a minimum kill policy to avoid this kind of thing, said Kakashi-sensei. Different ninja have different ways of handling it. Some dehumanize their opponents and prefer to think of them as obstacles to be overcome. Others stick to jobs that don't require killing people, like acting as a messenger. Some come to enjoy it. Enjoy it? Asked Naruto. Why would you enjoy killing people? Yes, said Kakashi-sensei. Not in the Leaf, usually. The will of fire discourages that kind of thing. But some ninjas genuinely enjoys killing. I hope you don't turn into one of them. What do you do, Kakashi-sensei? Asked Naruto, curious. I think of the mission from an impersonal standpoint, said Kakashi-sensei. I do whatever is necessary to ensure mission success. Sometimes that involves ending life. Well, I don't want any part of that, said Naruto flatly. If what you're saying is true then the bandit was as much a person as the opium trader. And if both of them were people, then I wish I hadn't had to kill either of them. And I'm not going to pretend like they aren't people just to make things easier on myself. Kakashi-sensei looked at him seriously. That may not be a wise policy, Naruto. Detachment is a valuable thing in our line of work. I don't want to be detached from what I'm doing, said Kakashi-sensei. Because then I won't care if I go too far. We'll talk more about this later, said Kakashi-sensei. For now, you'd better fix things with Ino. Naruto nodded and went over to where Ino was sitting down again. He paused for a moment. Ino, hey, Naruto, said Ino. Naruto paused. Listen, I get the feeling that what I did back on the road was sort of creepy. And I'm sorry, okay. He bowed his head like he'd seen others do. Ino sighed. It's fine. I didn't like it any more than you. Sasuke, I'm sorry if I disturbed you, said Naruto, turning to Sasuke. Sasuke looked up in what might have been surprised and smirked. You disturb me? Right, whatever, sorry, said Naruto, annoyed. I'm going to recommend you three take some time off for D-ranks, said Kakashi-sensei. Which, depending on how things go with Lord Orochimaru, might not be a bad thing. Why do we get debriefed separately from Team Guy anyway? Asked Ino. Lord Orochimaru likes to know each team's perspective in a vacuum. In a place where no one else can hear, said Kakashi-sensei. If something goes seriously wrong, he can learn what they have to say without judgment. Personally, I also think he likes putting people on edge. Did something go wrong, Kakashi-sensei? Asked Naruto. Well, that all depends on how everyone reacts, said Kakashi-sensei. Guy has always been, a different kind of detached. It usually works for him, but I guess it backfired this time. Soon enough, Team Guy came out. As they walked through the hall, they didn't stop. But Guy did give a gleaming smile and a thumbs up to Kakashi-sensei. So, it didn't go too badly for him, said Kakashi-sensei. Come on, let's see what happens to us. They made their way into the office, and Naruto entered to see Anko munching on some Pocky. She was lying on her back on Lord Orochimaru's desk like a cat. She winked at him as they entered, and Naruto felt kind of weird. Lord Orochimaru? Asked Kakashi-sensei. Orochimaru took the time to finish setting up his reports and finally put them aside. Then he glanced up and smiled. Well done. What? Said Kakashi-sensei. You did an excellent job, good work, said Orochimaru. But we got caught, said Ino. Oh no, the Sand Village got caught, said Anko. We got off scot-free. I've sent my official condolences to the Lord Temujin. Then I offered him all the information we have on the sand. The opium was destroyed, our enemies have been implicated. Nobody is going to be stupid enough to pick a fight with 2 ninja villages at once. Best of all, said Orochimaru. If the sand village complains, I can point out that Rasa compromised us with his bloodthirsty son. On a brighter note, Gaara broke out of prison in about 5 minutes after he woke up alongside his siblings. So no harm is done. Kabuto will give you your payment in the next room. For now, however, I'd like to speak with Naruto alone. Lord Orochimaru, began Kakashi-sensei. Indulge me, said Orochimaru. There was silence for a moment before Kakashi-sensei nodded. Yes, sir. Out everyone filed, including Anko and Naruto sat down across from Orochimaru. He felt a bit awkward here, more so remembering Anko. Have I done something wrong? Far from it, said Orochimaru. You've exceeded my expectations, Naruto. Naruto felt good. Well, I didn't even do much. Nothing happened on the mission. Yes, that's why you exceeded my expectations, said Orochimaru with a smile. The mark of a true ninja is not in dealing with a crisis, but in avoiding a crisis. If you continue to perform like this, I think I may well have use for you. Still, let me ask you something. What makes a messiah? Naruto blinked, unsure of the question. Messiah? It's a Western concept, really, said Orochimaru. The idea of a single man rising above, or being born above all others. Through his will alone, he brings people to salvation. Or true freedom, or something along those lines. Of course, we have some similar concepts, but they are largely a metaphor for how to live your own life. The Messiah of the Westerners, they maintain, was a man who really existed and had absolute power. You mean like limitless chakra? Asked Naruto. No, he did not need chakra, said Orochimaru. He had ultimate authority over all beings. One who could tell a mountain to move, and it would obey. Naruto blinked. That didn't fit with any descriptions he'd heard. Like Hashirama. Far more than Hashirama, said Orochimaru. This Messiah is not merely powerful. He is power. All authority is his, and none may resist his commands. And yet, the Westerners believe he chose to hurt no one, to accuse the unjust without striking a blow. And in the end, he died to redeem them from some original corruption. It is theorized that this is why they don't have chakra. Genjutsu is useless against them, you see. And ninjutsu less than effective. Your friend, Rock Lee, has Western blood in him. But why are you telling me this, Hokage? Asked Naruto, not sure what he was getting at. Because the myth has enchanted me my entire life, said Orochimaru. The idea of being, or becoming, so powerful that all aspects of the world obey your will. Of being invulnerable and infinitely wise. It is something I have yearned to achieve myself. Once, my goal was to learn every single jutsu. Compared to the simple authority of this man, such an achievement is meaningless. You think maybe they were talking about the Sage of the Six Paths? Asked Naruto, remembering the books Kakashi-sensei had forced him to read. No, the Sage of the Six Paths never went to their lands, said Orochimaru. And their religion, well, some of their religions, regard him as a demon. Personally, I've always thought him profoundly overrated. My goal is not to become the next Sage of Six Paths, but rather to achieve ultimate authority. Life and death. Naruto didn't get it. I don't get it. Orochimaru sighed. You don't need to. I just enjoy talking to a captive audience sometimes. You seemed the sort of being more receptive. I'm certain the rest of your team is waiting outside for you. Run along now. Naruto nodded and left, not at all sure what the point of the conversation was. Ino looked at him in concern, and Sasuke looked interested. What did he say to you? Asked Sasuke. A lot of weird stuff, said Naruto, who was just glad to get some attention. Still, Lord Orochimaru is the coolest guy. Yes, well, began Kakashi-sensei. I'm glad you think so, said a voice. Into the room came a silver-haired man with glasses. He carried a box with their payment. They'd never had this kind of ceremony before. And Naruto remembered they were getting paid a lot. With Lord Orochimaru's compliments. Thank you, said Kakashi-sensei, his voice on edge. So began Naruto. I'm Kabuto. I usually act as Lord Orochimaru's assistant when Iruka is occupied, said the man. Organizing the new classes of the academy is taking up most of his time at the moment. They took the money and headed out. Kakashi-sensei looked to be thinking hard about something and kept glancing his way. However, Naruto was distracted when Ino cheered. Yes, said Ino, leaping for joy. What are you cheering about? Asked Sasuke. We completed our first C rank, Sasuke, said Ino. Take that, Sakura. Isn't doing take that's to Sakura in poor taste, Ino? Asked Kakashi-sensei. Ino remembered Sakura was redoing the academy. Right, good point. Actually, Naruto, want to see how Hinata is doing. Naruto paused. You want to do the investigation type thing? Yup, said Ino, before looking to Sasuke. Sasuke want to come? Where? Asked Sasuke. A bit of a conspiracy theory we're following up on, said Ino. We'll explain on the way. Sasuke grunted in response but kept step with them as they walked away. Naruto paused as they did. Hey, Ino, quick thing? Yeah? Asked Ino. Can we get Ichiraku on the way back? Asked Naruto. Why don't we make that my treat, then? Asked Kakashi-sensei. Yes, said Naruto. Best day ever. Just be quiet about it, you're making a scene, said Sasuke. And they walked until they came to the familiar sight of Tuchi Ramen. There, Ayame and Tuchi were working on setting up their next batches of ramen. It was the second day since they returned, having gotten back a little earlier. But Ayame smiled at Naruto as he neared her. Oh, Naruto, there you are. We were wondering when you'd get back. Table for 4 today, said Kakashi-sensei, sitting down. Any recommendations, Naruto? Well, I usually get pork, but that's pretty high calorie. You could try the chicken, said Naruto. Sounds good to me, said Ino. Tofu, please, said Sasuke. Naruto looked at Sasuke strangely but decided not to ask. Soon enough, their food arrived, and they were eating. As usual, it was delicious, made all the better by having friends. Hey, can I ask you something, Kakashi-sensei? Asked Ino. Yes? Asked Kakashi-sensei. Why is Anko called the Eternal Jonin? Asked Ino. I mean, I did hear there was a guy in Rock Lee's family called the Eternal Genin. But Jonin is as high as you can get without becoming part of the Hokage's personal forces. And she is part of them. The two nicknames, though similar, have no connection, said Kakashi-sensei. Guy's father was called the Eternal Genin because he remained at that rank for years. This despite a lengthy period of service. Anko made Jonin at a very young age. She is called Eternal because she does not age. Seriously? Asked Ino. She looks only a little older than you three, a teenager, but she's as old as I am, said Anko. Orochimaru is not just a warrior and administrator, he is a scientist. And among his experiments was a serum for eternal youth. So Anko is immortal? Said Sasuke in surprise. Possibly, said Kakashi-sensei. Technically speaking, the project is still in testing stages. No one is sure what long-term effects may result from Anko's apparent immortality. Though I've heard that Orochimaru shared the serum with the Lady Tsunade. They developed it together. His talent for experimentation with her medical genius was a formidable combination. At least, when she was still in the leaf. Yeah, but Anko doesn't act much like an adult, does she? Asked Naruto. That may be her appearance talking, Naruto, said Kakashi-sensei. But, yes, there have been some emotional effects. People change with their bodies to an extent. So, perhaps you'd like to tell me what's so pressing you want to ask Hinata about. Oh, we were meaning to do it before we went on our C rank, said Naruto. It must have been fairly important then, said Kakashi-sensei. Well, began Ino. Let me explain. See, Ino was visiting Sakura and, began Naruto, only too happy to reveal what he knew. And Sakura boasted about how she was way richer than the average citizen of the Leaf, said Ino quickly. See, her parents made an absolute killing in the merchant business. And I wanted to see just how the average wealth of merchants stack up against the ninja clans. The Hyuga have some of the best records, so I figured I'd go to them. I mean, Hinata is a friend, after all. I figure if I could prove her wrong, I'd totally be able to rub it in. Once she makes genin, obviously. Well, that sounds more productive than using haircare products, noted Kakashi-sensei. Very well, you have my blessing. Just don't do anything illegal. Hang on, what's wrong with haircare products? My looks are important, said Ino. Naruto agreed with that, but Kakashi-sensei finished his meal, paid, and stood up. I've got some paperwork to handle if you guys don't mind. Finish up without me. And he shot off in a blur. Naruto ate silently with Sasuke and Ino. Eventually, they walked out, and Naruto looked at Ino. Why do you lie, Ino? Naruto, Kakashi-sensei would be given the records on Sakura, said Ino. And he used to work as Anbu for the 4th Hokage. He might be in on the conspiracy. What conspiracy? Asked Sasuke. I don't know what it is. That's why I'm trying to find out, said Ino. Basically, Sakura has built her entire life around you. And I want to find out why. Sasuke stared at her. What? Said Ino. You just realized that Sakura was a shallow person? Asked Sasuke in surprise. Hey, said Ino defensively. Sakura was my friend for years. She's not one-dimensional at all. She's just defined her entire life by getting a guy. And, well, it's like her parents don't even exist. Have you ever seen them? Ever? Sasuke thought about it. No. Yeah, actually, that is weird, said Naruto, never remembering them at all. I used to figure she was an orphan like me, but she smacked me upside the head when I said she was. Everyone laughed at me then. Right. Well, someone put a genjutsu on her house to make sure nobody noticed all the weird things about her, said Ino. And when I talked to Sakura, it was like her whole mission in life was to end up with you, Sasuke. Everything she did was to get to that goal. Even entering the academy was just to get to you. We never even met before the academy, noted Sasuke. Apparently, she ran into you briefly beforehand, said Ino. Anyway, either Sakura has been obsessing over you for ages longer than is natural. Either that or someone has made her think she is. And, well, I think she might be in trouble. So I want to find out more. Do you want to come with us? Sasuke shrugged. It's not like I have anything better to do. Great. We're going to visit Hinata and Neji, said Naruto. Oh, do you think that we can do like a sleepover or something? This is a mission, Naruto, said Ino. We're trying to uncover an evil conspiracy to brainwash Sakura. Right, so can we sleep over while we investigate it? Asked Naruto eagerly. Ino sighed. The Hyuga compound was massive. It was even larger than the Uchiha compound that now lay empty. Though Sasuke said, Hyuga clan had more than 3 times as many members when they were built. The walls were white and made from chakra-enhanced materials. As Ino knocked, Naruto could not help but feel self-conscious wearing orange. It didn't seem the kind of place you would have a sleepover. Then again, Naruto wouldn't know. The door opened, and they were lucky enough to get Hinata on the other side. As she stared at them, she put her 2 fingers together and looked away. Oh, Ino, Naruto, Sasuke, you're back from your mission. Sure are, said Naruto. We stopped a gang of bandits and totally got to burn down a warehouse full of drugs. So what have you been up to? Well, Kurenai-sensei has been mostly making us do D ranks, said Hinata, cringing a little. Just recently, we helped track down some thieves who had been robbing local villages. Oh, nice, said Naruto. Bet the people you helped are grateful. What can I do for you? Asked Hinata. Well, said Ino, we were wondering if we could talk with your dad. Hinata stared and opened her mouth, then closed it. You want to talk with Lord Hiyashi? I mean, father. Are you sure? Yeah, we'd like to look at the Hyuga records, said Ino. Kind of some homework. Hinata nodded. Well, follow me then. Just Naruto? Yeah, what is it, Hinata? Asked Naruto. Don't raise your voice or be casual, said Hinata. Oh right, sure, said Naruto, wondering why she was so afraid. This was her house, wasn't it? And don't mention anything about Neji or the branch clan, said Hinata. Lord Hiyashi is well, it's a sensitive subject. Okay, said Naruto, wondering what was going on. And whatever you do, don't act friendly with him, said Hinata. Or smile or show any emotions. Finally, she sighed. Actually, Naruto, it's probably better if you don't talk at all when we're with Hiyashi. Why? Asked Naruto. He's very conservative, said Hinata. He doesn't like children speaking out without reason. Hinata led them through the wood-paneled halls. As they walked, Naruto thought about how nice this place was. He also noticed several candlesticks made of silver. It didn't look like anything he'd seen in other houses. They had strange designs of huge winged lizards and guys in armor fighting them. But it wasn't samurai armor at all. What are those? Asked Naruto. Oh, those are a Western design, said Hinata. Father got a gift from the Lord Temujin. That was one of them. Moving beyond, she came to a door and knocked. Beyond the door, Naruto saw the silhouette of a man. Yes, what is it? Asked a voice. Hinata slid the door apart, and Naruto saw a stern-faced man. He was painting with a brush upon a canvas and wore a white kimono. Forgive me, father, but Team 7 desires an audience with you, said Hinata. What is their business? Asked Hiyashi. They wish to look at some of our records, said Hinata. One may enter, said Hiyashi. The others will remain. Yes, of course, said Hinata, before shutting the door. She was breathing hard. You go, Ino, said Sasuke. Are you sure you don't want to? Began Ino. This was your idea, said Sasuke. Fine, said Ino, before slipping through. The door shut, and there was an awkward silence. Hinata was looking down, while Sasuke had his arms crossed. Naruto shifted. Well, do you want to go watch the other members of the main clan training? Asked Hinata, suddenly. Fine, said Sasuke. So Hinata led them away, while Naruto stayed silent like he'd been told. They passed several servants, and all of them had weird tattoos on their foreheads. When Hinata spoke to them, they answered shortly. But all of them had the same blank eyes, which meant they must have been Hyuga. So Naruto paused. Hinata, do the Hyuga transfer Byakugans into their servants or something? Hinata looked at him. Well, not really. You see, the servants are actually members of the branch clan. Hyuga, who aren't part of the main family. See, there were several different clans of Byakugan users before the Land of Fire existed. But the Hyuga succeeded in uniting all of them. So, well, father always said they were born to protect and serve the main clan. So is Neji part of the main family? Asked Naruto. Then again, Neji had always worn his headband over his forehead. No, said Hinata. He's my cousin. But, well, he refused to join the conventional Hyuga forces. Instead, he joined the Leaf Ninja. Then she halted as she slid open the door. Hang on, we can't go out there. Why not? Asked Sasuke. Naruto peered over Hinata's shoulder. He saw Neji sitting on the steps overlooking a courtyard. As he sat, he was scratching on a scroll with a pen. At the same time, he was watching a group of Hyuga train. They were doing movements he'd never seen in basic training, and none of them had the tattoos. Neji is out there, said Hinata, shutting the door. He's hated me for years and never forgiven me for what happened to his father. Neji hates you? Asked Naruto. Why would anybody hate Hinata? But he was a really good member of our team when we were out in the land of rice paddies. Well, yes, he's always professional, but he scares me, said Hinata. The way he looks at me, it's like he's analyzing my soul. What is he doing out here, anyway? Asked Sasuke. If he hates the main family so much, why sit watching them? Oh, he's always there, said Hinata. Neji is always watching the main clan train. He's always hated us, you see. But he constantly watches them practice their movements. This, even though no one will ever teach him the higher forms. The door opened, and Neji was on the other side, face expressionless. Hinata, you aware that I can see in all directions at once and through walls, do you not? Yes. I'm sorry Neji, I didn't mean to disturb you, said Hinata, backing away. What you meant to do is irrelevant, said Neji. Hang on, Neji, what's the big deal here? Hinata didn't mean any harm, said Naruto. She was only showing us around. What is Team 7 doing here, Naruto? Asked Neji flatly. We're looking for information on, Sakura's parents, said Naruto. Then he realized he probably shouldn't have said that. Sakura Haruno? You mentioned her once or twice, mused Neji. The vapid, pink-haired girl who physically abused you. That was right, Naruto had mentioned Sakura a couple of times during the journey. But he hadn't gone into detail or anything, just made a few offhand comments. Well, Naruto blinked. That's a little harsh, don't you think? Surely, you would have met her parents at some point? Asked Neji. Well yeah, that's just it, said Naruto. We haven't met them. And, Ino visited her and couldn't find any pictures or anything. And well, there was a genjutsu on her house warding off interest, said Sasuke flatly. Neji nodded. You suspect a conspiracy then? Well, not really, but we're sort of investigating for fun, said Naruto. You should suspect a conspiracy, said Neji. The presence of a genjutsu. That, combined in the non-existence of two figures who should be there, is suspicious. You are right to investigate as much. Really? Asked Naruto. You think something is going on? Was Sakura in danger? There is always something going on, said Neji. No one is who they appear to be on the surface. Only by rational analysis can a person's true nature be known. The only question is if you should try to learn about it. Why wouldn't we want to learn about it? Asked Sasuke. Knowledge is power, said Neji. Knowing an inconvenient truth may make one a threat to powerful people. Depending on what you are trying to discover, things could get very dangerous. The person behind the apparent conspiracy may have you, or Sakura Haruno, killed. Certainly, the Hokage already knows of it. What makes you say that? Asked Naruto. You are genin, said Neji. If you were able to discover what was happening, Orochimaru would certainly do so. He has agents everywhere. In fact, he probably already knows you are investigating this. Then again, it is possible that he does not have a part in it. Perhaps politics require that he tolerate it. You seem to have thought all this through, said Hinata. Have you been investigating this, Neji? Don't be absurd, said Neji. I simply made several theorized based on the evidence available. Any of you could do this if you put in the effort. Thinking things through is my job on Team Guy. At that moment, Ino ran up to them. Hey guys, I'm back. Naruto glanced up, glad at the distraction. Oh, Ino. Any luck? Nothing, said Ino. Nothing? Asked Sasuke. What do you mean nothing? There is no Haruno family on the records of the Hyuga, said Ino. Sakura is there. Apparently, the fact that she was my friend got her in the book. But Hiyashi and I couldn't find anything. What? Said Hinata. But we keep records on everyone. Especially merchants, they're a possible source of espionage. I do agree that the absence is uncharacteristic, said Neji. What? Said Naruto. But how can Sakura's parents just not exist? They have to exist, said Ino. Who's been paying her bills? Who taught her to dress and got her enrolled in the academy? She'd have to have someone doing it for her, and she wasn't listed as an orphan. She's been your friend for years, and you don't know any of that? Asked Neji with a raised eyebrow. Ino flinched at the statement. Well, she never brought it up, and there was that genjutsu. I mean, Sakura was never really one to talk about herself and… Irrelevant, said Neji. If you'd tried to learn more about her, this conspiracy would have fallen through years ago. You are a self-absorbed person, aren't you? Neji, why are you being such a jerk? Asked Naruto. Is anything I said incorrect? Asked Neji before looking to Ino. Why is Sakura Haruno your best friend anyway? Do you enjoy her company? Or is it merely that you regard her as an extension of yourself? Silence. Can we change the subject here, please? Asked Ino, looking shaken. Yes, I think that would be wise, Neji, said Hinata. As you wish, said Neji. And then he just kind of dropped it. Naruto looked to Hinata and then Neji and then realized that what Hinata had said was a command. Neji, her cousin, was also her subordinate. He wasn't allowed to keep snarking at Ino if Hinata didn't want him to. It was like, oh. But Hinata would never hurt anyone just for being a bit unpleasant. Hiyashi. Hinata was terrified of Hiyashi. Why would she be afraid of her own father? There was something really wrong with this family. But the tense silence that had followed now was too strong. So why don't we go talk to Iruka-sensei about all this? Asked Naruto after a moment. I mean, he's got to know. Naruto makes a good point, said Sasuke. I do? Asked Naruto, blinking. Iruka-sensei interacts with our parents regularly, said Sasuke. He probably knows who is taking care of Sakura. Or at least knows who isn't. You are too trusting, said Neji. What do you mean, Neji? Asked Ino. You are following this line of inquiry as a game, said Neji. But you are not preparing for the possibility of a real conspiracy. If there is such a conspiracy, then Iruka-sensei is almost certainly at least aware of it. Which, by necessity, means the Leaf is so aware. Talking to him directly may lead to an immediate changing of plans. Like what? Asked Sasuke. Such as having Sakura Haruno move to another house, or having her disappear, said Neji. The Leaf wouldn't do something like that, asked Naruto. It may not be the Leaf, said Neji. The academy was infiltrated by Mizuki, was it not? There could be another agent. Or Iruka-sensei may be under a genjutsu that is controlling his actions. Such things are possible, even without a Sharingan. Though they are difficult to achieve. We must take precautions here. So what do you want to do? Asked Naruto. Sakura Haruno should be kept under watch at all times, said Neji. How? Asked Naruto. You mean like talk to Lord Orochimaru? If we are going to involve Lord Orochimaru in this, then we might as well tell him everything, said Neji. Good point, said Ino. At any rate, what you need is someone who is very good at remaining unseen, said Neji. Someone who has a veritable history of stalking others without their notice. And also with taking notes on them. Someone for him, this behavior would be considered natural by anyone who saw her at a glance. Wouldn't you agree, Hinata? And he stared at her with an accusing glance. What was he talking about? Well you see, said Hinata, blushing scarlet. Naruto got it. Oh, so Hinata has been practicing her ninja skills? Why yes, that's definitely it, said Hinata. What if they just kill Sakura, said Sasuke flatly. You don't really think they do that, do you? Asked Ino. We do not know who we are dealing with, Ino, said Neji. It might be an organization willing to tie up loose ends without regard to human decency. Sasuke, you'll be of use here. What do you mean? Asked Sasuke. You're going to spend an entire day with Sakura Haruno while we meet with Iruka-sensei, said Neji. You'll then sleep over. You can't make that kind of decision for me, snapped Sakura. Are you, or are you not, a member of this organization? Asked Neji. Since when are we an organization? Asked Naruto. Shush, said Ino. Sasuke paused. I am. Why not make Naruto do it? He's got a crush on her for years. First, Naruto would be rebuffed instantly, said Neji. Second, you are irreplaceable. If you were to be murdered or kidnapped, the entire Leaf would be mobilized. It would instantly escalate events, and since they are interested in subterfuge, they can't kill Sakura as long as she's in the same room with Sasuke, realized Ino. And with Hinata as a witness, if they were kidnapped, Lord Orochimaru would send an army after whoever did it. How am I supposed to justify spending the night with her? Asked Sasuke. Just say that Ino was afraid someone might come after you and asked you to stay with her, said Neji. She'll believe whatever she wants to believe about that. Now, we'd best get to work. Silence followed. Well? Asked Neji. Neji, why are you in charge? Began Ino. Neji looked at her hard. Right, getting to work right away, said Ino. Glad to have you on board. This had gotten weird. Ino, Naruto, and Neji arrived at Iruka-sensei's office. They hadn't been back at the academy for a long time, and it seemed as if it all had taken place a lifetime ago. Walking through the halls, they got to the office. Ino looked to Naruto and wondered how best to go about this. Now I think I should talk to Iruka-sensei on my own, said Ino. What makes you say that, Ino? Asked Naruto. Ino wished Neji hadn't come. They hadn't known each other at all in school. He'd been in the class ahead of them. Well, I mean, if all of us come here, he might think something was up. Me just asking a bit about Sakura will draw less attention. No way, said Naruto. What do you mean no way? Asked Ino. We came this far, Ino, said Naruto. We're going to do it together. Neji was silent, and Ino sighed. Fine. Ino knocked on the door. There was silence for a moment, and then the door opened. Iruka-sensei looked out, seeming very tired. He must have been working late. Ino, Naruto, Neji? You're an odd trio to be hanging around here. How can I help? Iruka-sensei, said Ino. Something is wrong with Sakura. Iruka blinked. What do you mean? I visited her a week or two ago and, well, I couldn't see her parents anywhere at all, said Ino. And her crush on Sasuke, I always figured it was like mine, but she's completely obsessed. We're worried about her. Iruka paused and looked either way down the hall. I see. You'd better come inside and wait. Sakura's situation is delicate, and I'm only able to reveal some of it. They went through the door, and Iruka sat down at his desk as they stood across from him. But Iruka-sensei, we talked with other people, said Naruto. Nobody else can remember Sakura's parents either. It's like they don't even exist, and Sakura doesn't have any pictures of them. Silence. Iruka looked down at his desk, seemingly wrestling with something. He definitely knew something. Iruka-sensei? Asked Ino. The situation is complicated, Ino, said Iruka. And, I'm not allowed to reveal those details, they're confidential. As an academy instructor, I am obligated to protect clan secrets. Sakura is. Well, she was enrolled in the academy by certain people who are no longer in the village. However, the orders they set up remain, and the Leaf has chosen to keep her there. Is she the daughter of traitors? Asked Neji. Ino glared at him, but Neji just stared back as if daring her to do something about it. Ino shrugged and looked back. But that doesn't make any sense. Sakura herself thinks she's the daughter of merchants, she has for years. Iruka sighed. I can't tell you any more, Ino. The files are sealed. I'd be breaking the law by revealing more, several laws. If you want to know more, you're going to have to go directly to Sensei. The Hokage? Asked Ino. What does he have to do with this? Iruka stood up. Come with me, and he'll explain, however much he wants. I'm sorry, but I can't say any more. The Leaf sometimes has to keep secrets for the safety of its citizens. If you want any more information, you have to talk to him. Is it that serious? Asked Ino. Iruka paused and sighed. It is complicated, and a public revelation of what is going on could have bad consequences. Follow me. And so they went, leaping across rooftops to reach the Hokage's HQ. Scaling the spiral stairs around the building, Iruka let them in with a set of keys. Walking into the office, they found virtually no one around. Anko was lounging on a sofa in the waiting room, tossing a bouncy ball against the wall. He's waiting for you inside, said Anko, hurling it again. How does he do that? Muttered Iruka. Come on. Moving in, Iruka opened the door, and beyond was Lord Orochimaru, writing at his desk. Entering, he looked up and pretended to just notice them. Ah, Iruka, what brings you to my humble abode? I had only just finished my paperwork. I apologize, Sensei, said Iruka. Something has come up. Moving forward, Iruka leaned down and whispered into Orochimaru's ear. He sighed. Ah, yes, that. Well, leave me to it, Iruka. I don't wish to keep you from your responsibilities. Thank you, said Iruka. Iruka bowed and left quickly. As he did, the door shut behind them, and Ino felt suddenly very nervous. Orochimaru seemed somehow different than before. Like some element of his true self was leaking out. Ah, Naruto, Ino, and Neji? Orochimaru paused. I had wondered when your investigations would lead you this far. I gather you've picked up some more supporters and some level of organization. I must say the investigation was well done, but you might have been a bit more secretive. You knew we were looking into this? Asked Ino. Of course, said Orochimaru. You haven't been nearly careful enough. My Anbu monitor everyone who enters and leaves Sakura's house. They then kept tabs on your actions as you investigated it. Why didn't you stop us? Asked Neji. Orochimaru leaned forward on his desk and clasped his hands together. Well, obviously because I wanted to see how far you get. If you could find out the full truth, it would make you a real asset. The Leaf Village survives by encouraging individual ambition for a greater good. And, it isn't as though the secret you've been trying to find can actually do any harm by being discovered. Quite the opposite, in fact, the only people it might incriminate are long dead. I don't understand, said Naruto. What if we'd caused problems or uncovered it? Orochimaru sighed. Naruto, please have more faith in the Leaf than that. If you had been looking into something you were not supposed to, I should have told Kakashi to rein you in and hid the evidence. Then that would have been the end of it. Secrecy is only upheld on the subject for Sakura's benefit. You know firsthand how the Leaf treats those who are considered different. Yeah, said Naruto. I guess I do. As things stand, I thought I'd let you finish and see if you got this far, said Orochimaru. Though I was hoping you'd try to sneak into my office. While to be encouraged, simply asking flat out is, well, a touch traditional. Very practical, though. Just think of it as a team-building exercise. So are you going to tell us what is going on here, Lord Orochimaru? Asked Neji, eyes narrowing. Well, I suppose that depends on what you want to know, said Orochimaru. Ino had had enough of this. How could all this be for Sakura's benefit, and why would Orochimaru need to post Anbu? Where are Sakura Haruno's family, and why has no one in the village ever seen them before? Orochimaru smiled, and it gave Ino chills. Are you sure you want the answer to that question, Ino? Ino, for a moment, paused. What if she didn't? I asked, didn't I? True enough, said Orochimaru, standing up. But you might not like the answer. And if I give you that answer, it will open your eyes to the darker side of the Leaf. Many things have to be done behind the scenes in the Leaf. Things that are never seen in the light of day. And not all of them are pleasant or even heroic. Out of courtesy, I'd like to offer you a choice between two worlds. He motioned to the door behind them. In one world, you walk out that door, you forget this ever happened. You train to be the best ninja you can be and never look back. And you don't even have to worry about this. You can believe whatever you want to believe. In the other world, you stay in here. You listen to my explanation and see beneath the mask of the leaf. And once you know a little, you'll see things others don't for the rest of your lives. And you may even feel obligated to act on some of them. Which would you prefer then? The truth, or what you want to hear? Ino shifted, uneasily. What if there was some really horrible secret behind this? She would have to live with it. What if the Yamanaka clan was involved? I didn't come all this way just to forget about it, said Naruto. I want to know about this. Sakura is. Well, she's important to me. Ino thought about walking out on Naruto as Shikamaru and Choji had. No, she was Sakura's closest, only friend. I want to know what's going on here, too. Neji paused as they looked at him. Will what I learn here put me at cross purposes with the leaf? A good question, Neji, said Orochimaru. The answer depends entirely on how you react to it. But, in the immediate future, certainly not. Then I accept, said Neji. He seemed more curious than Ino thought. Orochimaru, however, seemed pleased. Well then, why don't we find a change of scenery? Follow me. Orochimaru led them out the door and downstairs. When they reached a cellar filled with all kinds of supplies and equipment. At the far end, he pushed in a loose stone on the wall. The wall then slid aside, and he motioned for them to follow. Beyond, they entered into a place with many strange vials. Several different huge tanks could be seen, with strange creatures within them. Ino looked around as Orochimaru began sorting through a filing cabinet. It gave her the chills, but Naruto seemed fascinated. What is this place? Asked Neji. Oh, this? Asked Orochimaru. This is a laboratory I used to conduct my experiments. I experiment with blood samples, examine corpses, and also use more unnatural jutsu. I had it installed shortly after I took office. My original lab is too far away. All constrained to ethical guidelines, of course. That was one of the sensei's requirements to give me this position. This stuff is pretty cool, said Naruto. Yes, well, I fear I haven't had time to use much of it with all the paperwork I must deal with, said Orochimaru. Kabuto does most of the work these days. Now, let's see, where was that commission? Commission? Asked Ino. What did a commission have to do with Sakura? Oh yes, I often performed certain experiments on behalf of other members of the Leaf, said Orochimaru. Sometimes it was to cure a disease, other times to deal with a crippled leg. I've made a great deal of progress, at least until Tsunade left me. I'd hoped eventually to replicate Kekkei Genki, or perhaps even create some. I even did some work for the Yamanaka clan, Ino. On behalf of your father and some others. Speaking of which, he drew out a file and tossed it through the air with a flick of the wrist. It spun through the air and slid under Ino's arm. As she tensed, she took the file and drew it up. Years ago, this was a request sent to me by Fugaku Uchiha of the Uchiha clan, said Orochimaru. Fugaku Uchiha, said Ino, opening the file and looking through it. There was a lot of stuff she didn't understand, but Sakura had helped her enough with biology to figure out what it was. She read it. Project Purity? He wanted you to create a human being? Are you saying Sakura was created in this lab? Asked Naruto. No, not this one, said Orochimaru. I hadn't installed this one just yet. But other than that, yes. She was custom tailored to breed with an Uchiha. You see, the Uchiha clan has a bad tendency of marrying close to the blood to maintain their Sharingan. Fugaku was rightfully concerned about inbreeding, but he didn't like the idea of marrying his sons to one of the other clans. The Hyuga were the only ones he considered worthwhile, and all attempts to negotiate an arranged marriage were a disaster. Fugaku and Hiashi despised one another and were not willing to compromise. Both considered one another an inferior clan with delusions of grandeur. This is why Hinata was never betrothed to Sasuke. But what does this have to do with Sakura? Asked Ino. Fugaku was facing a situation where his sons were probably going to have to marry into common blood, said Orochimaru. The Senju are all but extinct, and most of the other clans disliked the Uchiha at best. But if he married one of his children to a commoner, his bloodline would be contaminated. Most ninja clans deliberately breed their children to have favorable traits, while commoners have no such advantage. It began to sink in just what Orochimaru was saying. So he asked you to create Sakura? Oh, yes. Her and several others, said Orochimaru. It was cleared with the old administration. I was asked to create a female whose genes were custom tailored to be recessive. Any children she bore would be almost completely Uchiha, with her own genetics being more or less assimilated. It's all very complicated. Sakura Haruno was then given to the Uchiha to do with as they will. But how? Asked Ino. How could you sell a child into slavery? Orochimaru laughed. My dear girl, Neji Hyuga wears a brand on his forehead. His family can kill him for any reason and suffer no legal consequences. At the time, I was trying to become Hokage and was in need of Fugaku's support. Refusing would have doomed my campaign and alienated the Uchiha. I was also operating on certain false pretenses. I thought that Fugaku would raise the child as a member of his household. But why is she so obsessed with Sasuke? Said Ino. It's like her total focus for her existence. She shouldn't be like this. She wasn't even sure how to handle this. All she could do is ask more questions. Orochimaru sighed. You can blame Shisui Uchiha for that. Who? Asked Ino. The name sounded familiar. Hadn't he been murdered by the river? It had happened right before Sasuke's family had been killed. The only Uchiha who could match Itachi in battle, said Orochimaru. He may even have been stronger. He possessed a unique power with his Sharingan. It allowed him to put people under a permanent genjutsu. It makes someone believe something so utterly and completely that they think they are doing it of their own free will. He used it on Sakura when she was less than a year old. The sheer volume of it hit Ino harder. She tried to think of what to say as a million memories hit her and were rendered harsher. So, you mean to say that Sakura has literally been brainwashed from birth to fall in love with Sasuke and marry him? Orochimaru shook his head. No, Sakura has been brainwashed to have the children of any suitable Uchiha they decided on. Sasuke is the subject of her affections by virtue of being the last man standing. Somewhat ironic, given that he was probably the only one who didn't know about it. How could you let them do something like that, Orochimaru? Said Naruto. Orochimaru shrugged. I couldn't do anything, Naruto. Sakura was legally Uchiha clan property. They could have done whatever they wanted to her, and Fugaku didn't trust me enough to bring her into his household, however. Of course, not all of the specimens were Uchiha clan property. Some clans were keeping their options open. And not all of them were given the same treatment by Shisui. They weren't entirely sure that artificial humans would be able to function properly under his influence from such a young age. Sakura was judged to be the least valuable, and so she was put under genjutsu. But how could they do such a thing? To a toddler? Said Ino in horror. She looked to where Neji, whose face was impassive. He had hardly reacted. I doubt they even thought of Sakura as a human being, Naruto, said Neji. The Uchiha had a superiority complex that considered even the Hyuga inferior. As far as they were concerned, they had the right to rule the leaf. We were no better than rebellious vassals. I never heard anything like that from them, said Ino flatly. She remembered Fugaku had met once or twice with Dad, even. Were you listening? Asked Neji. What about the others? Asked Naruto. Are they as bad off as Sakura? Orochimaru walked over and took the file back from Neji. Shutting it, he filed it back. The others were, fortunately, never brought under the direct control of Shisui's eye. As you can no doubt attest, Ino, Sakura was wholly unable to function before she met you. Fugaku was aware of this and decided to use the procedure at the age of 12 or so. Old enough to have the ability to obey orders without making a scene, but not so old that they could resist. I think that Neji is correct. Sakura and the subjects were nothing more than chattel to the Uchiha. Thankfully, the Uchiha massacre saved the others. There's got to be something we can do, said Naruto. Can't you fix it? You're the Hokage, the most powerful man in the world. Orochimaru smiled at that as he looked back. I actually have been cooperating with the Yamanaka on deprogramming her for some time. We've managed to make a great deal of progress to that end, thanks to you, Ino. However, I will be honest. I expect this is a problem Sakura will have to deal with for the rest of her life. Shisui's mastery of hypnosis is unparalleled in history. So, we can't help her? Asked Naruto. Orochimaru seemed to consider things. I actually come up with some solutions. Shisui's brainwashing endlessly drives her to fall in love with Sasuke because he is the last Uchiha. If Sasuke, however, were to leave the village and disappear with no way for her to find him, she might move on. The genjutsu would have nothing to drive her toward, so it would go dormant. However, if she ever runs into Sasuke again, the genjutsu would reactivate. It might even destroy aspects of her personality to ensure her compliance. For instance, if Sasuke were to go rogue and try to destroy the leaf, a well-adjusted Sakura might well decide to kill Sasuke to defend the leaf. At which point, Shisui's genjutsu would systematically chip away at her confidence and resolve. If necessary, it would weaken her loyalty to the leaf and drive her to alienate those close to her. It would work at her constantly, and no matter how hard she fought against it, she would be reduced to the same state she is in now. That being the state the Uchiha wanted her to be in. And she'd think it was her idea, to begin with. You mentioned you had solutions, said Neji. There are 2 instant fixes to this problem, said Orochimaru. The first fix is to kill off Sasuke and Itachi Uchiha. With no Uchiha left alive, Sakura would be able to live a normal life. Obviously, that is not an idea I'm fond of. We can't kill Sasuke, said Naruto. He's part of our team, and he didn't have anything to do with this. What's the other option? Asked Ino, deciding she had to take charge. Have Sasuke Uchiha impregnate her and then abandon the village for good, said Orochimaru. Part of her programming is to raise the children that result from her union with an Uchiha. So if she were to have a child, she would refocus on them. With Sasuke gone, she might be able to recover somewhat. This is sick, said Ino. I'm well aware, said Orochimaru. It's also one of many reasons why the Uchiha massacre was met with mild applause by most people in the know. Really, Itachi did the universe a favor. Lord Orochimaru, is there some kind of therapy we can do? Asked Ino. You cannot get between her and Sasuke for a start, said Orochimaru. If something is regarded as a threat between her and Sasuke, she will be brainwashed to cut it loose. This is also why she is so aggressive with you, Naruto. Your affections to her are perceived as a threat to her mission. However, I suspect she genuinely likes you and enjoys your company. If you can create a relationship with her which is perceived as helping her get to Sasuke, she may indulge in it. From there, you can get her to focus on other things as a means of supporting her relationship with Sasuke. Tell her to play hard to get. Or convince her that having a life outside of him will make her more attractive to him. Just remember that her entire existence revolved around him, and breaking that bond could break her. Be careful. Silence fell over everyone. I can't believe the Uchiha would do that, said Naruto. I knew some of them were jerks, but brainwashing Sakura so she'd have no choice but to be Sasuke's wife. I think you misunderstand, Naruto, said Neji. The Uchiha would gain nothing by having Sasuke marry her. She had no property and was already theirs and could bear children. Sakura was fated by destiny to be Sasuke Uchiha's slave, not his wife. That's not her destiny, said Ino flatly. It's just what the Uchiha tried to force her to do. Is there a difference? Asked Neji. Ino paused and tried to find something to say. He said it so matter-of-factly. Lord Orochimaru, what happened to Shisui Uchiha? Silence fell. Orochimaru shrugged. Well, I shouldn't really be telling you this, but the information was sealed years ago. And there really isn't any harm. Some time ago, certain factions within the Leaf started conspiring to overthrow me. Their goal was to supplant the rightfully elected Hokage and replace it with someone more to their tastes. And Shisui Uchiha was an integral part of that plan. His ability was going to be used to take away my free will and make me abdicate. And they also were making plans to seize you as well, Naruto. They would have threatened to kill you and unleash the nine-tailed fox on the village to force everyone into line. Needless to say, I was not pleased when I learned this. So I caught Shisui alone by the river bank and killed him with my bare hands. And then 2 red lights flared to life within his eyes. Ino's eyes widened as she saw 2 red emblems. I always wanted my own Sharingan. Now I have one of the best. Ino thought about Shisui Uchiha. He'd already brainwashed Sakura, and then he'd tried to overthrow the Hokage and take over the Leaf. And Orochimaru had flat-out assassinated him in retribution. Good, said Ino. Ino was glad Shisui was dead. Anyone willing to take away someone's free will like that deserved it. She certainly wasn't going to tell anyone about this, especially since the Hokage had requested it. It had all happened years ago anyway. Of course, by talking to you about this, said Orochimaru. I've brought you into my confidence. I suggest you don't tell anyone about what you heard here today without my permission. It is not relevant, after all, and will only inflame old passions. Keep your silence on this subject, and you may well have a bright future ahead of you. Tell anyone. Well, it could cause the Leaf some serious problems, and I'll have to have your memories suppressed. You can trust us, Lord Orochimaru, said Naruto. The more power you have, said Orochimaru, the more responsibility you have to go with it. You cannot mention this to anyone. Not Sasuke, not Kakashi, not Tuchi or your friends or any family. Some of them already know, of course, but revealing the information would still be criminal. If you don't feel capable of keeping the secret, I can have the details wiped from your memory right away. Thank you, Lord Orochimaru, said Ino. But I prefer to remember this. Then I expect you to keep what you have found here an absolute secret, said Orochimaru. Ino bowed. The three of them left the Hokage's office wiser but troubled. This doesn't make sense, said Neji. Why tell us any of that? What could he gain from it? Well, why not? Asked Naruto. He trusts us. And Lord Orochimaru one of the good guys. Neji looked startled for a moment and then looked at Naruto. I see, that's why. What? Said Naruto. What do you mean? Nothing, said Neji. Figure it out for yourself. And he walked off. Of course. It had been about Naruto. Ino was going to have to talk to Kakashi-sensei about the non-classified aspect of this. Ino and Naruto walked under the fading light toward Sakura's house. The sunset was nice, Ino guessed, but she wasn't feeling all that nice. A profound sense of exhaustion had fallen over Ino. She didn't know what to say or do now that she knew all this. How could she talk to Sakura? Or Sasuke, for that matter? How did you even deal with a thing like this? Orochimaru's advice had seemed good, but there was something Ino needed to talk to Naruto about. Naruto, we need to talk about Orochimaru, said Ino suddenly. She knew one thing she had to get out of the way right now. It had been growing on her mind all this time. What is it? Asked Naruto. Ino thought about how to say this. I think he's grooming you. Naruto paused. What, like a horse? No, not like that. Ino tried to think about how best to say it. Naruto, haven't you noticed that he keeps taking you aside and revealing secrets to you? Secrets that he shouldn't tell you, but which conveniently can't hurt him. Yeah, because he trusts us, said Naruto. No, he doesn't, said Ino. Orochimaru has no good reason to trust us, not yet. We're green recruits. It's not about him trusting us, Naruto. It's about you trusting him. But he's Hokage, we're supposed to trust him, said Naruto. Yes, but, Ino tried to find the words. It was a lot more difficult than it should have been. Orochimaru is trying to get into your head. He's manipulating you, Naruto. Trying to get you to be completely on his side. Well, why me? Asked Naruto. You are the nine-tailed fox, said Neji with a shrug. It would be logical for him to want you as a loyal subordinate. I am not began Naruto. How did you even know about that? He mentioned it in the conversation, and I put two and two together, said Neji. Well, what's wrong with being loyal to the Hokage, Ino? Asked Naruto. We're supposed to be loyal to the Hokage. He's the pillar the Leaf stands on. I know, Naruto, but... Ino halted and realized her training was in agreement. But the office and Hokage and Orochimaru seemed somehow separate to her. I just want you to know that Orochimaru might be manipulating you. He might not care about you as much as he pretends to. You don't have any right saying that, Ino, said Naruto, voice guarded. He's never been anything but nice to me. After you graduated the academy? Asked Ino. If he was so fond of his rival's son, why not get in contact before that? Why didn't you get in contact before that? Asked Neji flatly. Ino hesitated and realized the question was a good one. Because I was kind of a jerk, okay. I just thought of you as an annoying kid in our class. But Orochimaru knew everything about you, he'd have to. I'm not saying you can't be grateful for him, but just keep thinking for yourself, okay? Fine, whatever, said Naruto. Let's go see Sasuke and Sakura now. I'm sure Hinata is getting sick of waiting around. Do as you like, I find this conspiracy of little further interest to me, said Neji. With those words, he broke off and walked down the street. Ino stared. You just forced yourself into a leadership position, and now you're walking off? Yes, said Neji. The mission is complete. I have spars among the main branch to observe. And he walked off. I cannot read that guy, said Ino after a moment. I'll bet he's pretending he doesn't care so he can feel cool or something, said Naruto. Sasuke does it all the time. Let's just go, said Ino. I don't know why he even invited himself into this anyway. Neji knew a lot more than he did before. Except he hadn't really seemed to care all that much. World-shattering stuff like this should be screwing with his head. But he'd just been standing by with that same indifferent expression on his face. And now he was just walking off without going to see if Sakura was okay. Had he just thought the information might be useful? Or maybe Neji was just really antisocial and didn't know how to act around people. Ino decided to go with Naruto's interpretation until proven otherwise. Together, she and Naruto found Hinata observing the house while pretending to read a book. Her Byakugan was actually peering through the pages at the house beyond. As soon as they arrived, though, Hinata stood right up and ran to Naruto. "Oh, Naruto, you're here. Hey Hinata, we found out what we were looking for," said Naruto. "Oh good, then you found out what the truth was?" asked Hinata. Naruto opened his mouth before Ino shot him a look, and he nodded. "We're not allowed to talk about it. If you want the truth, you'll have to go to Lord Orochimaru himself." Hinata paled a little. "That bad? We can't talk about it," said Ino. "Oh, right," said Hinata, pressing fingers together. "Well, where's Neji?" "He walked off as soon as we left," said Naruto. "Well, in any case, no one has tried to get into Sakura's house at all since Sasuke entered," said Hinata. "Oh damn, Sasuke had spent hours with Sakura. How are they getting along?" "Well, Sasuke introduced himself as you said," said Hinata. "Sakura welcomed him in, and they sort of just sat there. They didn't talk or anything from what I could see. Sakura seemed pretty disappointed. Well, that was one good thing, at least. No, Ino had to be thinking of Sakura here. Well, let's see how they're doing." Ino knocked on the door and waited. A moment passed, and the door opened, and Sakura opened the door and looked out. "Ino, Naruto, you're here." "Yeah, hey Sakura," said Naruto. "Is Sasuke here?" "Yes, we've been speaking together," said Sakura, trying to look happy. "Sort of, I guess." "Is something wrong, Sakura?" asked Ino. "It's nothing, I just," began Sakura, voice choking. "Thank you." And then she ran away crying. Ino and Naruto went into the main living room and saw Sasuke sitting by a table with arms crossed. He looked annoyed, very annoyed indeed, and Ino got the feeling he thought of all this as an unwanted chore. Hadn't he even cared about Sakura's feelings? "Sasuke, did everything goes well?" asked Ino. "I've been waiting here for 2 hours, Ino," said Sasuke. "Where have you been?" "Sorry if I was a nuisance, Sasuke," said Sakura, coming through the door. Did you find out what we were looking for?" asked Sakura. "Well, you're not gonna like it," said Naruto. "We're sort of sworn to secrecy on it." "So, I came all the way out here for nothing, then?" asked Sasuke. "No, not at all," said Ino. "I mean, we found out stuff that could be, really helpful to us and the village. And Sakura is safe, we know. You could probably ask the Hokage if you wanted. He took us down into this basement and, told us the truth. Look, we're not allowed to talk about it, we were sworn to it." "Great, so all this was a waste of time," said Sasuke, standing up and walking out. "Whatever. I'm going home." "Right. Goodbye, Sasuke," said Ino. The door shut. Ino turned to Sakura, who wasn't crying anymore. "Sakura, you alright?" "I don't know how to do anything," said Sakura. I can't cook anything, I can't do any real jutsu, I can't." And then Ino hugged her. Her words wouldn't help at all, so action would have to do. She held her friend, her oldest friend, and let her sob into her shoulder. "Sakura, listen, we all have our issues. But you can still be all those things. If you want to impress Sasuke, you have to stand out. You're back at the academy, right?" "Yes," said Sakura. "Well, maybe you could think of this as an opportunity," said Ino, breaking the hold. She had to say something to motivate her. "You can fix all your weak points and get a lot stronger before you start doing missions. Put Sasuke out of your mind for a bit and focus on becoming a powerful ninja. Once you do that, maybe he'll notice you." Why was Ino telling her to keep chasing Sasuke? After he just walked out like that. It was Shisui Uchiha's fault. Not Sasuke's, he'd probably never even known about it. "But forget about him?" asked Sakura. That doesn't seem right. Sasuke had just completely shunned her, and she was still obsessed with him? "Sasuke is your reason for living, right?" asked Naruto, suddenly. Sakura halted. Yes, but if you want to achieve that, you need something else to your life, said Naruto. Maybe if you focus enough on other things, you'll get stronger. And then Sasuke will have no choice but to acknowledge you. Sakura nodded. Right, thank you, Naruto. I'll see what I can do. Can I be left alone now? Ino and Naruto respected her and walked back together. As they left, they found Kakashi-sensei waiting for them on a telephone pole. He descended to land in front of them, thoughtfully. So, I thought I might find you here. Did your meeting go well, with Lord Orochimaru? Yeah, I guess, said Ino. Well, sure, pleasantly, not so much. I guess he told you some things you didn't want to hear, said Kakashi-sensei. He gave us a chance to walk out first, said Ino. But you heard it anyway, said Kakashi-sensei. Do you regret learning it? Ino wasn't sure what to say. But Naruto was at once. No way, Kakashi-sensei, said Naruto. Now that I know there's a problem, I can do something about it. Kakashi-sensei ruffled his hair. Well, that's a surprisingly productive viewpoint coming from you, Naruto. Even so, I've got some feedback for all of you. He drew out 2 scrolls and handed one to each of them. I figure you could use some information on how badly you screwed this conspiracy up. Where's Sasuke? Oh, he went off on his own, said Ino. Well, I'll get to him later, I guess, said Kakashi-sensei. Still, we'll have more missions tomorrow. We've got to keep busy, after all. Even so, I think Team 7 should make it in the life of a ninja. Ino smiled despite herself. Thanks. The next day would bring more missions and more work. Team 7 would do more D and C ranks, growing in trust and strength. Sakura, Shikamaru, and Choji would keep on working to graduate a second time. And life went on.
That's all for now. If you want to see next part, then please like this video and subscribe my channel. Thank you.